Can I have your attention, please? We'll be starting up shortly. Good evening, and welcome to the Lowell Planning Board for January 4th, 2024. The first matter on the agenda is the approval of the December 4th, 2023 minutes. Any of the board members have any comments, corrections, or modifications?
None, Mr. Chairman. With that, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
A second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. So tonight, we do have 4 public hearings off to start the new year. The first one is a public shade tree hearing for 150 Douglas Road, Veterans Park. The City of Lowell proposes the removal of all trees on the site, approximately 18, to clear the way for the construction of the new Veterans Park. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Hi, thank you. My name's Jess Wilson. I'm here tonight on behalf of the City of Lowell Department of Planning and Development. We are requesting the approval of a tree removal permit for all of the trees located at 150 Douglas Road to make way for the new Veterans Park, which is some 5 years in the making, I believe, has quite a long history of funding and planning, and we're excited to finally be underway with that project. And we just need this approval in order to clear the site and make way for the new park, which will include 92 new trees, 291 shrubs, and 38 perennials. We've been in communication with the abutting neighbors to discuss screening of their properties as the trees and existing shrub are removed. We believe there are about 18 large trees on the site currently that we are proposing to remove, but that's an approximate number. Given the overgrowth and the conditions of the site, it was difficult to get an exact estimate on the number of trees that we're taking down.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll turn it over to the public. Anybody want to speak in favor of the Veterans Park, adding the trees as indicated by the applicant? Anybody in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. Any of the board members have any comments? Or questions, concerns? I think it's going to look nice when you put all those in there. I know they've been working on this for a little while, and before the park was just kind of like one of benches, or didn't have
Yeah,
too
it's
much
just got
to it, and there
some
wasn't many people who
rotting
utilize it, so hopefully this will do a great job. And it's right across the street from the Riley School, and
Yep, and I'm happy to share that we're also updating the playground at Riley School so that we'll be beginning the design process for that project soon. So between these 2 open space improvements, it's going to be a big improvement for the neighborhood of Belvedere.
okay, thank you very much.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, just
Sure,
quickly.
Mr. Bichette?
Jessica, what's the timeline? When do you anticipate being?
Sure, we anticipate completion by May, but of course this tree hearing pushed us back a little bit. This is probably May, June. We'll
Okay.
be wrapping up
You
construction.
still have it for the, unless we continue the hearing.
Yeah, right. Please.
No, you should be all set then for the, for at least the summer season. Yeah, no, it's amazing the robust planting schedule that you have. Would have been nice, I guess, if there were some mature trees maybe that could have fit into the new landscape, but understandable. I mean, I think what you're going to replace it with more than makes up for the removal of the trees, so.
It's an entirely native border landscape and designed to help aid in natural stormwater infiltration as well.
Yeah.
So was that always called Veterans Park, or was that,
No, it's been called Knott's Park.
what was it called?
Knott Park.
Okay.
KN.
Yeah, when I saw Veterans Park, I'm like, I never
Yeah.
heard of Veterans Park, okay.
We have to update Google, I guess, now.
Any other board members have any questions? Sinead, any questions? Caleb?
No, I agree with my fellow members. Just look forward to seeing it done.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. Good luck, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Good
much.
seeing
You're
you
all
again.
invited to the ribbon cutting in May or June.
Thank you. Okay, moving along on the agenda, the next matter is a site plan review and special permit, 77-89 Bowsville Street, 213, 221, 241 West 6th Street, 110 Bunker Hill Ave. St. Louis School Phase 2. ZR Development Group, LLC, has applied to the Lowell Planning Board for a project at the above address, otherwise known as the former St. Louis Parish Campus. The applicant intends to convert the former church, the school building, and convent into 61 apartment units, and to subdivide the remaining land into 6 single-family homes and 1 duplex for a total of 69 new units. 77-89 Bolzard Street, 221 West 6th Street, and 241 West 6th Street are in the traditional multifamily zoning district. A portion of 213 West 6th Street is in the traditional two-family district, and the remaining portion, along with Bunker Hill Street, is in the traditional single-family district. The project requires site plan review under section 11.4, a special permit to convert historic structures and on neighborhood landmarks under section 8.1, and a special permit to waive the minimum lot area per dwelling unit and minimum usable open space requirement under section 8.1.310 of the Lowell zoning ordinance. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to all. Happy New Year. For the record, my name is John Geary of Geary & Geary LLP, 32 Church Street, Lowell, Mass. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, ZR Development Group, LLC. ZR Development has this property under agreement with the current owner of the property. With us tonight, we have Jim Zorbis and Ryan Rourke, two of the principals of ZR Development Group. We have Angie Verge, the landscape designer, Mark O'Hara, the engineer for the project, and Andy Arsenault, the transportation engineer for the project. Unfortunately, our architect unexpectedly could not make it this evening. But between Jim and I, we feel we can handle any questions related to the architectural aspects of the project. As the chairman mentioned, this application involves the proposed conversion of the former St. Louis Parish complex from its previous use as a church and a school campus into 61 multifamily residential units, 6 single-family units, and 1 duplex property, for a total of 69 units. In order to permit this proposal, the applicant is required to obtain a special permit pursuant to Section 8.1 and 11.3 of the ordinance. We're also required to obtain site plan review pursuant to 11.4, and the applicant is also seeking a special permit pursuant to 8.3.1 subsection 10 in order to waive the minimum lot area per dwelling unit and usable open space per dwelling unit related to the multifamily aspect of the proposal. Subject properties are located at 79 through 89 Beauvais Street, 213, 221, and 241 West 6th Street, and 110 Bunker Hill Avenue. 77 through 89 Beauvais Street and 221 through 241 West 6th Street are located in the traditional multifamily zoning district. A portion of 213 West 6th at the corner of Bunker Hill Ave is located in the traditional two-family zoning district, and the land running along Bunker Hill Avenue is in the traditional single-family zoning district. The property consists of approximately 178,506 square feet of land, which equates to about a little bit over 4 acres of land. The site presently consists of 4 buildings, including the church, the rectory, school building with the attached convent, and the service garage behind the rectory. The applicant's proposing the adaptive reuse of the church and the school building, which again includes the convent, into multifamily housing. Both the rectory and the service garage will be demolished. The site is presently improved with the existing buildings, as I mentioned, a significant amount of paved parking area, and a grassed lawn area along the Bunker Hill Ave boundary. The school convent building is well over 100 years old. The church building is approximately 70 years old. And as you all know, the property is located in the densely settled Centerville neighborhood, which consists of a wide range of housing options, including single-family, two-family, and multifamily properties. There are also many neighborhood businesses scattered throughout the neighborhood. St. Louis Parish has been closed for approximately 3 years, and the properties have been unoccupied since the parish closure. In advance of tonight's hearing, I've provided the board with a site plan which includes the existing conditions, site layout, proposed parking, utilities, and drainage. We've provided an architectural plan, or architectural plans, including floor plans, elevations, and a colorized rendering of the completed building, along with an aerial view of the completed project. We've provided a landscape and lighting plan, stormwater management plan, a traffic impact analysis, and a fiscal impact study. Since our initial submittal, we've added more detail to the floor plans of the convent school building. We also have floor plans, elevations, and a streetscape of the single-family homes, and we have floor plans and elevations of the proposed duplex, which we will share with you this evening. In terms of the architectural overview of the proposal, the applicant's proposing an innovative architectural development project that seeks to reposition the classic late 1800s brick school building along with the attached convent and the 1950s contemporary church building into vibrant multifamily housing, as well as creating several standalone homes and a duplex property, as I had previously mentioned. The proposal focuses on the adaptive reuse of these local landmark buildings while preserving the exterior character of the buildings. We believe that the end result of this proposal will be the transformation of this St. Louis School Parish campus into a wide variety of housing options, which will serve to breathe new life into this property and stabilize these buildings for decades to come. As I mentioned, one of the primary objectives is to preserve the unique character of the buildings. The old brick school building will be renovated to retain its historical charm. The addition of dormers to the school building on the upper roof will serve to activate an unused area in the building's attic, while also giving that building more of a residential look. A fourth floor will be added over the convent, the three-story convent building, which also softens that portion of the building and provides for more residential look. The contemporary church building will have decks added to represent its transformation into a residential space, ensuring harmonious blend of the old and the new. The roof decks will also serve to enhance the aesthetic appeal of the building while providing residents with beautiful outdoor space. The front entry facade of the church will have new architectural treatment applied to express the new residential nature of that building. In terms of the breakdown of the units for each building, the school convent building will consist of a total of 41 units. There will be 2 studio apartments, 17 one-bedroom apartments, and 22 two-bedroom apartments in those 2 buildings. The units in these buildings will range in size from 756 square feet to 1,331 square feet. The applicant will be installing an elevator to be centrally located in that school building. There will also be a ramp added to the front entrance of the school building, so together with the elevator, all of the units in those buildings will be fully accessible. The church will be modified to accommodate 20 units. There will be 4 studio units, 11 one-bedroom units, and 5 two-bedroom units. The exterior modifications associated with the church include upper-level access to roof decks, new windows, and modifications to the front facade suitable for a residential front entryway. No elevator is required or planned for the church building. The units in the church will range in size from 753 square feet to 1,560 square feet. In terms of diving into the details of the proposal, I think the best way to do that is to go through the comments that Peter drafted. Those were thoughtful and thorough, so I'll start with those. The general comments start on page 2, and they reiterate most of what I've already conveyed to the board. So general comment number 2 states that the applicant previously received approval to convert the building at 72 Beauvair Street into 16 units. That project is well underway. Most of the exterior work has been completed, including landscaping, lighting, site work, painting of that building. The applicant expects that occupants will be in that building sometime in the early spring, sometime in April. Is that right, Tim? For the most part, we'll leave the site plan comments to Mark and Angie to address. However, picking up on page 3 with regard to the parking section of the comments, Since we are proposing 61 multifamily units, we're required to have a total of 122 parking spaces, 2 per dwelling unit. We are proposing a total of 128 parking spaces, which is 6 more than is required, which certainly will adequately service the parking for the residential aspect of for the multifamily aspect of the project. Comment number 3 of the parking area section speaks to the requirements of landscaped open space pursuant to the ordinance. Although the initial plan that we submitted was slightly deficient of the 5% requirement, Mark and Angie have been able to adjust the plan, and we will meet that landscape open space requirement. They will review that with you shortly. With regard to comments related to the driveways of the proposed homes, we believe that we can adjust the driveways so that we meet the dimensional requirements of 6.1.10. With regard to stormwater comments on page 4, Mark has been working closely with the city stormwater team, and as the comments suggest, there will be a net decrease in the stormwater leaving the site, which is critical to this section of the city, considering the CSO issues that exist within the city, and particularly in this neighborhood. Peter did a good job of summarizing the fiscal impact study within his comments. The study essentially concludes that the positive annual fiscal impact of this proposal will result in approximately $120,000 a year to the city. That figure takes into consideration school-age children attending the school. It takes into consideration fire and police calls and all the other factors that ought to be considered in that calculation. In addition to the positive annual impacts of the proposal to the city, there will be initial permitting fees, water and sewer connection fees that will be in excess of $150,000. The addition of the new residents to the neighborhood with disposable income will also generate significant economic benefits to local businesses, which are critical for the survival of local businesses within the city. With regard to, and we'll also be employing local contractors during the construction phase of the build-out. With regard to the special permit requirements starting on page 5, comment number 1 reiterates the requirements for the historic neighborhood landmark special permit. The applicant's proposing a creative, adaptive repurposing of the building in a way that maintains the architectural character of the buildings without substantially altering the exterior. Section 1.8 of the code was adopted by the city so that properties such as this can be appropriately developed. The applicant's proposing a redevelopment of this property in a manner that both meets the requirements of Section 8.1 and is respectful to the neighborhood. Comment number 1D indicates that we meet the minimum requirements for square footage for each unit. Comment E notes that the original building areas are not increased by more than 10%. The convent and annex will include an additional story. The school building will make use of the attic space, and the church building will take advantage of the interior height of that building by adding a second story, but nothing on the outside. The footprints of the building will not change. With regard to the applicant's request to waive the lot area per dwelling unit and usable open space requirements pursuant to 8.1.3, this section of the code allows the applicant to request a special permit waiving those minimum requirements, provided that this board finds that there are adequate public recreational opportunities that exist within the neighborhood to serve the residents of the project, and that the proposed project will not detract from the health, safety, and welfare of the occupants and owners of surrounding properties. Staff did a good job of confirming that there are adequate public recreational opportunities throughout the neighborhood. I mentioned several within my narrative. We have McPherson Park, we have the River Walk, which is not far. There's another park, there's a park at the end of the street at the Greenhouse School. So there's plenty of outdoor recreational opportunities for residents of this project. Staff notes that although there may be some concern with traffic impacts to the neighborhood, we attended a neighborhood meeting. We know that the neighborhood is a little bit concerned about the potential traffic impacts, but early on, the applicant hired Vanessa and Associates to determine what those impacts would be to the neighborhood. Andy Arsenault will go through those in a few minutes. We'll go through the findings, but we believe that based on that traffic impact study, The redevelopment of the property can exist within the neighborhood without any significant detrimental impacts to the neighborhood. Finally, the design planner comments suggest that the applicant consider a better balance of open space with added shade trees around the parking areas to help offset the urban heat island effect that exists in this neighborhood and other densely settled neighborhoods in the city. We believe we have a pretty good balance of open space and shade trees, and we'll go through that in pretty good detail, but we're happy to incorporate any suggested plantings that staff may think would work best for this particular site. The design planner concludes by pointing out that the project is a good proposal and provides diverse options for missing middle housing within the city. We agree with that. So with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Jim now. Jim's going to go through some of the architectural aspects, and then you'll hear from the rest of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Happy New Year to everyone. As John mentioned earlier, unfortunately, our architect couldn't be here, so I'll do my best just to highlight some of the key features in each of the buildings, starting with the church. If I could ask you to turn in your packets to the floor plans. Starting with the church floor plan, A100, should say lower level. Just want to highlight some of the consistent features in both, I should say, in the church, the middle school, and the convent. All will be receiving a new roof, new windows, and exterior upgrades with trim packages and some paint to kind of be consistent with what we're doing at 74 Beauvais currently. All the rental units will all receive luxury vinyl plank flooring, granite countertops, washer dryers, and stainless steel appliances. All of our appliances, all of our heating and cooling systems and washer dryers, everything will run on electric power. There'll be no gas on the property. The church features 7 private balconies, 4 private entries from the exterior direct into the individual units, and 2 Juliet-style balconies for 2 of the units as well. The breakdown is in the church, there's 4 studios, 11 one-bedroom units, and 5 two-bedroom units. One of the things that I noticed earlier that got missed is there is a mailroom at the main entrance of the property. It's just not noted, at the main entrance of the building. It's just not noted on the plan. So at the main entrance on West 6th, there will be a mailroom for mail and Amazon pickup, etc. In the middle school area, the breakdown is as follows. We have 2 studios, 17 one-bedrooms, 22 two-bedrooms for a total of 41 units. All, again, are open-style floor plans with luxury vinyl plank flooring, stainless steel appliances, granite, and washer dryers for each of the units. The school and convent, again, will receive new roofs. The middle school will receive dormers to be able to add units to the top floor, and the convent will get an addition to the 4th level. The middle school and convent will be ADA compliant with multiple entrances. One of the things I'd like to point out, if I could come in and point to, that's not on the drawings. So one of the things I noticed is we've added entrances to the property in the back here on the convent. So it's not noted in either the drawings or the floor plans, but there is an entrance here at the corner of the convent and in this little courtyard here as well. So for groceries and move in, move outs, people, it's easy. It's going to be a lot more easily accessible than having to walk all the way around the building. So that's something that currently isn't on the drawings, but will be part of the project. Where's my? I left it. Also, you'll notice on the second floor, we have an amenities area that will serve as a community room. On the third floor, there's an amenities area that will serve as an exercise room. Lastly, there is a mailroom that's not noted at the entrance of the building as well. And I think that's it for there. Quickly on the single-family homes and the duplex, the single-family homes are all roughly 2,000 square feet. They're all 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. And the one duplex, each has 2 bedrooms with a garage and 1.5 baths. I'll now turn it over to Mark O'Hara, who will discuss the site plan.
Thank you, Jim. Happy New Year. I apologize, I'm still a little under the weather from a gift I got for Christmas morning. It's been lingering for about 10 days now. But I am going to present or discuss the items that I have been assigned to address, which for the most part is the stormwater and wastewater, utilities, and so forth. I'm going to try to bring this up. Let me get a mouse here. I've got the site plan before you, and this is a rendering of our site plan. It also shows some of the materials that I'm going to go over. So John did a very good job explaining the project in great detail. Jim did a great job with the interior. I was going to talk about site access, but I think I'm going to let Andy Arsenault from Vanessa address that. Briefly, the parking areas. Our goal in designing the site was to try to reduce the total amount of impervious surfaces compared to what's out there right now. It's a 4.08 acre site. Approximately half of it is impervious. A breakdown, exactly what exists right now is 2.03 acres is lawns and landscaping, and 0.82 acres of roof, and 1.24 acres of asphalt and concrete. So the total impervious right now is 2.06. So when the developed state, we align the parking spaces and drive aisles to minimize the amount of total impervious surfaces, but still trying to meet or actually meeting the minimum widths of drive aisles at 24 feet in parking spaces, which is 9 by 18. So each one of the 168 parking spaces shown is a standard 9 by 18 foot parking space. So in the post-development state, we reduce slightly by 0.02 acres the total impervious surfaces. So that in itself would reduce the total amount of stormwater runoff leaving the site. We did receive some comments from staff about some of the interior islands, seeing if we could increase the amount of, amount of landscaping within the interior. And so in a few minutes, I'm going to show you a revised plan that addresses that. And it's a work in progress. We're going to add some additional landscaping as well. But as for the stormwater, currently, I'm going to bring that up. I want to say this in advance, that the soil types, we did a test pit on site, and we found that the soils are very porous, sandy material. They're categorized as a hydrologic soils group A. It goes from A to D, A being the most porous, D being the worst. And even though the majority of the site is classified as urban land complex, the test pit revealed the abutting borderline area of soils that are Merrimack urban land complex. So it's an urbanized area, but the soils are very, very sandy. What does that mean? Typically, it means when you have an undeveloped site and you go and develop it, you end up with an awful lot of stormwater detention. But because this site is already developed, approximately half of it is impervious, and we're reducing it, the net effect is going to be less runoff because there's less impervious surfaces. Met with the stormwater team, Mike Stewart, Gordon Bergeron, and Joe Cady from the engineering office. And when we went over the design of this, before I even designed it, I said, what are you guys' thoughts of this? And they said, you know, we know you're going to have to put in some sort of detention, even though it's not required. I'd like to see it. Can you go underground with the recharge type system? I said, you know what? I think I'll approach the developers, but I think it's a good idea because we would like to increase the amount of recreation and usable open space to meet the requirement. So our agreement was that we would put an underground system. So I'm going to go forward to what our design shows. This is the developed plan, and I don't know if you can see it here, but we have one large underground infiltration chambered system that receives runoff from the parking lot that's behind the school and the convent. And currently, there is only a single catch basin that's located in the back corner of the lot. That's a leaching catch basin. If it were to surcharge, it would spill out onto Bunker Hill Avenue. So that system was designed by the city's new standard of recharging the first 1 inch of water times the total impervious area of the site. So we were able to accomplish that by sizing, I believe it's 48 chambers in this underground recharge system that captures the runoff from, as I mentioned, the convent, the middle school, as well as the parking lot. The front of the middle school has downspouts that drain into the street. We're not sure where they go, but they likely go into the combined sewer. So what we're going to do is similar to what we did across the street for the grammar school. We were able to cut into the roof drain system and reroute that stormwater that's coming off of the roof into the underground recharge system that we had for that site. That eliminated 4,800 gallons per day, or I should say 4,800 gallons is the amount that it would compute to for 1 inch times 6,200 square feet of roof area. That in itself is more flow than what that entire building would generate with the 16 units. So I know there's concern about CSOs, and the city is, Mike Stewart, it's been his goal to try to reduce it. And so we were very effective on the other site, taking a site that's 100% impervious and essentially eliminating 90% of the stormwater runoff that's going into the CSOs, including the roof. So that was our goal in this one. Like I said, the front of the middle school, and I think a portion of the convent goes directly into the street, likely into those CSOs. Those will be redirected to the stormwater system out back. The church, I'm going to say the east side, it's the northeast side of the church. That stormwater flow will go into the stormwater chambered system that's located in the parking lot to the east of the building. The west side, that has scuppers on the roof, so there's not much that we can do about capturing that runoff. But because it's a small portion of the total roof surface area, and there's also a green space in between the building and the street, we found that it would be minimal, the amount of stormwater that would be going into the combined sewer. So the net effect overall in the drainage, even without the stormwater controls that we're proposing, the two recharge chambered systems, there will be less runoff because of the reduction in impervious surfaces. In addition, of the 6 family houses on Bunker Hill Road, Bunker Hill Ave, each one of those will be provided with a chamber for the rooftop runoff. And as John had mentioned earlier, the driveways that we show on this plan that's before you have been revised to meet city standards. The ones that we showed were oversized, so we're reducing them in length to meet the city standards. So I'll bring up that plan in a minute. But for those single-family houses and the duplex that are out in Bunker Hill Avenue, we worked with the city staff, and they pulled up their plans for the existing sewer line. It's an existing 10-inch line. It does have stubs that exist, so we'll be tying the sewer into each one of the existing stubs. There are also utilities in the street, so we'll be tying into the water. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing gas. Are these going to be gas in the street? These will be electric as well, so probably more, technological heat pump type systems. And same thing would be for the duplex unit. That will also tie into a stub. Okay. So we discussed that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to, I'll be here to answer any questions afterwards, but I just want to move on to the revisions that we've done. since we've received staff comments. And they were generally, the comments we received, nothing was really too concerning or a comment that we couldn't address. So this plan that's before you shows the driveways that have been revised to meet the city standards. It also has a landscape and island that's been introduced. It shifts the pavement over. It doesn't increase the amount of pavement. It just cuts into the amount of usable open space. But if this is the city's preference to have more islands with, with landscaping, we can certainly accommodate that. Since then, I spoke with Angie, our landscape architect, and we're going to introduce a couple of additional islands in the southerly parking lot that's adjacent to the church. I know that there have been some comments or concerns about stormwater flows and CSOs. When I met with city staff to discuss that, there is a threshold that you will have to file for a sewer extension permit if that threshold is triggered. The threshold is 15,000 gallons per day based on the total number of bedrooms of what we are proposing. I computed the sewer flow to be 11,880. In addition, I just wanted to point out that we do have 2 exterior bike racks. One's on the northeast side of the church, centered near the driveway entranceway, and then there is another one in the interior located between the middle school and the convent. Trying to see if there's anything else I want to discuss. As for site entrance and exits, I'm going to hand that off to our traffic engineer. But I am here to answer any questions about stormwater, wastewater, grading, utilities, anything to do with engineering. But I'm going to hand it off to our landscape architect, Angie Verge. This is the list of
And good evening. My name is Angie Verge. I am a landscape designer with Angie Verge Landscape Design in Carlisle, Massachusetts. I am a certified landscape designer and a state certified horticulturist, and I prepared the landscape plan for this project. Let me just pull up. Okay. The intention of this landscape plan is to thoughtfully revegetate the site through the addition of canopy trees and to provide shade to the parking lot, sidewalks, and open lawn areas. The plan also introduces a vegetated corridor between the main campus and the single-family lots comprised of evergreen and deciduous trees to allow for both a visual delineation and privacy screening buffer, but also as an urban corridor for birds and native wildlife. The proposed plan includes 40 landscape-size shade trees at or greater than 2 to 2.5 inch caliber. 8 of the 10 tree species are native to the northeastern U.S. These trees are expected to be greater than 30-foot height and width at maturity. There are also 14 ornamental trees under 25-foot height and 17 conifers to add to the landscape. The requirement of 1 tree per each 2,000 square foot of parking has been satisfied. At a total square footage of 42,900 square feet of parking, 21 trees would be required. We have 30. The single-family and duplex lots will be required to have a minimum of 1 shade tree planted per lot. There are 5 mature shade trees in the landscape that will be retained and will have root zone protection fencing installed throughout the construction phase to protect the health and longevity of these trees. There will be plant beds along the front of the buildings that will contain ornamental plants to soften the facade of the building and to dress up the overall aesthetic of the development. The project will require the removal of 5 existing shade trees. While these trees are not labeled on this plan, I apologize for that, they are within the parking area. They will be definitely labeled on my revision for better reference. 4 of the trees are currently in the area designated for parking, right in this area here. They are silver and Norway maple trees with an average DBH of 20 to 30 inches. There's also one Norway maple that's in decline at the front of the church entrance, and that will be removed and replaced at a 2-to-1 ratio with native red maple trees. Again, thank you to the staff for providing us with these constructive comments to help us move this along. One comment referenced, as Mark discussed, was the number of parking islands within the perimeter of the parking area and your desire to have that number increased, and we are exploring some ideas to satisfy that. Again, the goal is to create a denser tree planting with a broader canopy layer to better shade and cool the asphalt parking service in the residents' vehicles. There is a gorgeous mature oak in the northeast corner of the property, and that's the focal point of a small recreation area that we have for residents, including outdoor grills and seating. There's also a shady courtyard in between the middle school and the convent that has bicycle storage racks and some seating. And per additional comments from staff, we'll be looking at adding some recreational features for the residents of the church, including perhaps an additional bicycle rack, maybe some seating outside of the front entrance. Because the unit count in the school is double the units that are in the church, we placed the primary recreation area next to the higher density building, but we can certainly revise the plan to add some more recreational features to the church. The plan locates designated snow storage areas as lawn strips that are a minimum of 8 foot deep that surround the perimeter of the parking area. And the lighting fixtures that are included in this plan include line voltage area lights on 10-foot height posts at the entrances and 25-foot height posts within the parking area. The lamps are dark sky compliant and energy efficient LEDs. The lights will provide safety lighting to the parking area and the trash enclosure. And I am available for any questions or comments, and I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening, all. For the record, Andrew Arsenault, business address 35 New England Business Center Drive in Andover, and I'm representing Vanasson Associates. We prepared the transportation impact assessment in support of the project, and tonight I want to just provide a very brief overview of the study and its ultimate recommendations. To begin, we developed this study in consultation with city staff and in accordance with state and industry standards for the preparation of these studies. I will mention that the study itself has been reviewed by city staff with no significant comments to address or revisions required. We collected the data that forms the basis of the study last fall, and we included an investigation in vehicle operations and safety in the area. As part of that review, we did find some existing safety shortfalls along the West 6th Street corridor, excuse me, which we developed some improvement strategies for that I will touch base on in a little bit. Just very quickly to orient ourselves, as I'm sure everyone is aware, the site is located in the northwest corner of the West 6th Street Bunker Hill Avenue intersection, with the Aiken Street Bridge just off to the west, the river to the south, and Route 838 off to the east. In general, all the roadways are very typical for an urban environment, generally 12-foot wide traveled ways with sidewalks along one or both sides of the study area roadways, and marked crosswalks provided at least one leg of the study area intersections. To get into the specifics on the project, we used data published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers to develop the anticipated traffic volumes associated with the project. During the peak rush hours, it was anticipated that the project is going to generate a total of about 50 to 60 cars an hour, or about one additional car a minute. Setting those volumes aside for a moment, we developed the distribution pattern based off of available census data for the city of Lowell. This distribution was fairly evenly spread throughout the study area itself, with about half oriented to from the southeast, a little under a third southwest towards the river, and the rest off to the northwest. After we applied those anticipated trip volumes to the roadway network, we were able to develop our analysis and ultimately arrive at our recommendations. With regard to the analysis itself, the project was not found to have a significant impact operationally at any of the study area intersections, with all of them operating at an acceptable level of service. Regarding the recommendations, we came up with a few, which I'll just very briefly run through. The first set of these recommendations were focused on providing and maintaining orderly access to and from the project site. These are all copied directly from our study, and with these ones focused more on the motor vehicle traffic. These are all generally standard items that are typical to many projects that we work on. They're items like making sure that the signs themselves are MUTCD compliant, maintaining the vegetation, the snow piles along the driveways. These next few items begin to focus on some more specific items with the project. The first two ensuring that safe pedestrian paths are provided that will link the project site to the adjacent sidewalk network. The last item being that the off-street parking should be restricted for a short distance immediately next to the main parking lot driveways. Ultimately, that distance would be up to the Lowell Fire Department, but it would likely be something around 10 to 15 feet, nothing too crazy, just so that emergency vehicles can sweep into and out of the project site easily. Moving off the project site, as I mentioned, and independent of the project, the West Street, 6th Street corridor between and including the Aiken Street intersection and Bunker Hill Avenue intersections were found to have some existing safety deficiencies. As a part of the project, the proponent will coordinate the preparation of a road safety audit for the corridor, which will serve as a playbook for the city to pursue any and all potential safety improvements along that corridor. The city will be able to use the audit to pursue and secure funding for some long-term improvements to increase safety for all users, as well as identify any of the simple quick fixes that can aid a hand while getting there. Lastly, the project will develop a transportation demand management plan with the aim of reducing or eliminating single occupant vehicles associated with the project wherever possible. As part of that, the project will have a transportation coordinator to manage the program and act as a liaison for the residents and the city. They'll provide information for the transit that is available to and from the site, as well as the provided bicycle accommodations and those pedestrian improvements that I touched on briefly. With that, I would like to hand back to Attorney Gary, but I am available for any questions that the board may have. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Andy. So in summary here, the applicant's proposed redevelopment of the property is designed to protect and promote the health, safety, convenience, and the general welfare of the inhabitants of the city of Lowell. The proposal promotes acceptable planning policies and standards within the city, and it provides for diverse housing options for both current residents and potential new residents to the city. The site plan complies with the City of Lowell zoning code, regulations of this planning board, and zoning practices. The proposal is consistent with the City of Lowell's comprehensive master plan and Sustainable Lowell 2025's housing choice plan. And it achieves the city's goal pursuant to 8.1 of the ordinance by allowing for the repurposing of these neighborhood landmark buildings into multifamily residential housing, while maintaining the exterior character of the existing buildings. There is no question that the beneficial impacts of this project would far exceed any negative effects as a result of the redevelopment of this property. And before I turn it back to the board for comment, I'd just point out to the board that the board is familiar with Jim and Ryan and the development team. They have permitted several projects within the city over the last few years. They are pouring millions of dollars into the city's housing stock. That investment into the housing stock trickles down to positive economic benefits to the city and city businesses. They're local guys, and they're here to say, and it's, from my perspective as a lifelong city resident, it's tremendous to see local guys reinvesting into the community. So I think that's worth something. But we're happy to answer any questions or address any concerns that the board members have. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. At this point in time, we'll turn the meeting over to the public. Anybody here like to speak in favor of this project? In favor? Yes, please. Just state your name and the address for the record. Thank you.
Hi. John Janowitz. I'm a resident of Bowyer Street, which is the street next to Bowyer. I'm at the corner. I can see everything going on every day. I'm all in favor of everything. We need new housing in the area, lighten up the area, brighten it up. It's been sitting there three years doing nothing. So I'm all in favor of it, and welcome new people to the neighborhood. I'm looking forward to the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in favor?
Good evening. My name is Daniel Gilday. I live at 55 Willard Street up in Centerville. We've been living in that house up there for 57 years. And I coach Ryan Rourke in Little League over in Centerville. I coached up there for 20 years with Mickey Finn. And God bless him. I get to know a lot of people and families. And I didn't know he was a developer. I didn't know what he did for a living. We lost track over the years. On the corner of Willard and Bridge, there's a house for a family. Hondra's family owned it. They were there forever. When they moved, it turned into a pig pen. The son couldn't keep it up. It was tough. I could knock at my front door one night, and it was Ryan Rourke, and he said, I'm buying the Hondra's resident down the street. I said, oh, good luck. The cops are there every other day, right? He goes, I can't control that, but I'm going to redo the building. When someone comes into Lowell, a developer, and I know the people that probably live in that area down there are nervous about developers. You can get good and bad. The city's done a great job, by the way, in keeping track of the contractors, but I'm on the street with them 3 big apartment buildings. The city allowed them 30 years ago to build on a dump. They're contaminated. The people that bought those condos are stuck. They can't sell them. I made him aware of it. He said, I'm not worried about that. Okay. The job he did cleaning that place up is just, you can go by and look at it. It's tremendous. All the neighbors were like, do you know him? Yep. I didn't know he was a builder. He cleaned it up like you read about. There's a single-family house next door. He's got all the parking spaces. Landscaping. The wall's been hit in the front of the house twice. I go down to see if anybody got hurt. He pulls up. He goes, what are you going to do? Accidents happen. Me, I'd be violent. But that's how he takes it. A house just sold at 33 Willard Street. It was on the market for $375. The value went up $32,000 when the kid bought the house. That was a big part of it. Single-family house next door has 6 cars parked there every day. Single family, they don't do nothing about it. So the neighborhood's concerned. 57 19th Street, he bought a 2-family up there right behind my house. I walked through my backyard. It was the McGovern residence, Mike McGovern's parents, uncle. He went through that, forcing other neighbors to the left or the right to clean their properties up. My son-in-law's a funeral director in Haverhill. He says, have you seen the building that your friend up there in Lowell has put up on Essex Street? I haven't. I drove up there. It's cleaned the neighborhood up completely. I went down to the Bunker Hill project, and he was gracious enough with his partner, who, athlete at Lowell High, I knew who he was, but didn't know him intimately. They took me through it. I said, this is unbelievable. I went out to the back. He's got a little courtyard. It's all grass. And the money they spend, I don't know how the neighborhood, I don't live there, but if I did, I'd be remiss. I saw the thing in the paper, and I called him, do you want me to come down and speak on behalf? He says, I don't go looking for people to do that, but I'd be remiss without doing it. So I dealt with the Taco Bell issue. We fought. Every company tried to get on Bridge Street. They got denied. The city council was behind the residents. The Market Basket, all them expansions, they clean the property up. They give money. I don't know. We don't have any housing in the city. And here's a guy trying to do the right thing, him and his partner, and I'd be remiss not to come down here. So I'm just here in support of it, only because I know his projects are just class 1, and I hope it gets approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilday. Nice to see you again. Anybody else like to speak in favor?
Good evening. My name is Alicia Janowitz. I live at 91 Bowyer Street. Literally a 30-second walk from this property. You can actually see my property on the site plans. And I think that this is a great idea. The property's been sitting there for 3 years. It's going to just rot away at this point. And I think they've shown that they can do a great job. They have really made the smaller property across the street beautiful. I think it looks amazing. And I think Jim and John were gracious enough to come to our Centerville board meetings and answer all questions that people had. Some people were not in favor, but I think they had great responses to everything that came their way. I think their research is impeccable. I think they've done an amazing job, and I think we could really use some new life to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Kirsten Reich, and I live at 96 11th Street. I'm also the vice president of the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group. I'm not here to represent that group, but I just wanted to let you know that I am a part of that group. I've been driving by this property for years and watching it kind of lay vacant and wondering what was going to happen there. And I'm really excited that the buildings that made up all the buildings that have historical significance to this neighborhood are going to be repurposed and are going to become housing for new neighbors in the neighborhood. I think that when you look at a development in your neighborhood, you want to make sure that some boxes are checked right. And I think that this development does that. They've been considerate with the parking requirements. They have a really good site plan with the landscape design. They know what our concerns are as a neighborhood because they've been to so many neighborhood meetings between this development and the one that they're currently finishing. So they know that we're concerned about the flooding in the neighborhood, and so they've proposed to put that recharge center in. I'm excited that they're going to be doing that audit along West 6th so that we can talk about how we can improve the traffic pattern along that area. Because everybody in the neighborhood at the meetings has been discussing how that's been a really troublesome area for us. So I love that this audit's going to be done to help the city think about how we can improve the traffic in that area between Aiken and Bunker Hill. And the other thing that just comes across is that the developers, when they've come to the meeting, they're from Lowell, they care about the neighborhood, they care about the communities in which they build in. Not everybody at the meetings that I were at, or at the last meeting that we had where they were presenting for this development was in favor, but I would say that the majority of the people at that meeting were very positive about this development. So I was excited to see that. And I think with the last building that they did, or that they're still finishing, they showed that they can be flexible, right? So they came in front of you and they came in front of the zoning board asking for a lot of variances. I was a little bit concerned about how many variances they were asking for. But between the feedback that you gave, the zoning board gave, the neighborhood gave, they reduced the number of units, they reduced the number of parking spaces, and then they also made changes that they voluntarily made, that they didn't need to make, that were supposed to be responsive to the neighborhood. So the way that they lit the parking lot in the building so that they weren't shining bright lights into the neighbors who are directly abutting them on all the sides, which I think was really great. And they also put up a fence, a privacy fence, which I also think was a really nice move. And those weren't in the plan, so they had actually just volunteered to do those things. So all of this taken together, I just think when you're going to have developers building in your neighborhood, you want people who are thinking about the impact in the neighborhood. And I think that this development should do that. So I am in favor of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor?
Hello, my name is Peter Yiannopoulos, and I have a bit of a different perspective. I'm a business owner and a real estate owner in Lowell, especially Centerville, Upper Centerville and Lower Centerville, and have an office on Bridge Street, so very familiar with that area. On a general level, we know that there's a dearth of housing units, so certainly this solves that need. But then when we look at it specifically, as a point of inquiry, how long has that land been vacant for now, that space? It's been 3 years now? So basically, someone is going to develop, that project. And so really, we have two options. I was speaking to a realtor earlier this year, and I was amazed to hear from him. He's very well-schooled in Lowell. Not just the amount of investment in real estate outside of the state, but outside of the country. So, from my perspective as a real estate owner in the area, You know, and for you as custodians of the city, it's a lot easier for us to deal with local, you know, local guys, if you will, as opposed to someone out of the state or out of the country. So whenever there's any issue or there's challenges or something going on in the neighborhood, you know, we could just sit down with these guys, right? Lowell High School, UMass Lowell, they work in the area, they live in the area. So from that perspective, as custodians of the city and as, you know, a property owner of the city, it's just a lot easier to deal with these gentlemen as things come up. You know, and then the second part of it, it's not enough that they're just local. Sure, that's terrific in a bubble, but combined, all you have to do, I mean, when I decided to support them, is the local thing was important to me, but then driving by Bouvier Street, anyone who has any doubts or reservations, you know, you could just drive by there. You could see the terrific job they're doing there, the craftsmanship. You know, these guys aren't cutting any corners. If you go out back, that's what I would urge you to do. For example, they put in a nice patio with nice grass. I mean, these are extras for the tenants. They don't need any of that for code, so there's a lot of extras that they do. They do very, very good work. So basically, I would say the combination of, you know, the local ownership group combined with their track record of, you know, really good craftsmanship and quality of work, just seems like a very good decision, you know, for the city, for us as residents, for us as owners and custodians of the city. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none? Anybody like to speak in opposition?
Maureen Kelleher. I live at 37 Unsworth Street in Lowell, directly across the street from this project. There is no question that something needs to be done with the property, and that the property should be developed, and that the property should be developed for single-family housing within the zoning for single-family housing. The issue that I have is that the buildings are in traditional multi-family zoned area, even though they were a school. The zoning in that area is traditional multi-family. Part of the convent is in a traditional single-family zoned area. Now, I understand that under the code, you can issue special permits for the size of the units and the lack of open space, but you can't change the zoning of the building. Only the city council can change those zoning maps for the existing buildings, in addition to the building, the two-family that's now being built. It's not an existing building, it's being built. And it's being built partly into a zone that is strictly traditional single-family zoned. That being said, this property is 4.1 acres of land. It's massive, and it sits directly in the heart of Lower Centerville. And what should be done with this project is that this project should be sent to the city council, and a master plan should be developed as far as what can be done, where it can be done, and how much can be done. Because there are issues involved here that have nothing to do with the planning board. and they're serious issues for that neighborhood. A couple of them. First of all, will the existing sewer lines need to be replaced around the entire property? Because you're talking about the 16 units that hasn't even opened yet. So we don't even know what the fallout of phase 1 is going to be with respect to traffic, with respect to the sewer lines, with respect to the water lines. You're talking 88 units in that one block area. What is that going to do to the sewer systems and the water lines for all of us who are all around this project and have not had a problem with all the green energy push? Shouldn't there be a mandate that EV charging stations get somehow added to these projects if you're going to allow them to redevelop? There's also, and this I think is even worse than just the fundamental stuff, that school building overlooks the Green Elch Elementary School. It overlooks the playground at the Green Elch Elementary School, where children go to recess and children play. I understand that notice was sent to the school department for the Green Elch. But every single parent who has a child who attends the Green Elch School should be notified that 44 apartment units are now going to be overlooking that schoolyard. You're talking about children's safety, and you're talking about their privacy. Another issue is the creation of a heat island, which is exactly what's going to happen here. There's one there to start. There's going to be one that's even worse, because they're going to use a porous material. But what happens when you park 100+ cars on top of this porous material? The cars reflect heat, and the cars magnify the heat. This whole heat island situation affects the health of not only the people there, but everybody all around in that neighborhood. And that's where I'm coming from. Those are the concerns I have. And that's something City Hall should be dealing with, and not you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak in opposition?
Hi, Sandy McNamara. I've been trying to get in and haven't been able, but now I'm in. So I just wanted to say how much in favor I am with the project. I think it's really remarkable what they're doing. But what I also want to say is, through talking through residents, homeowners, and some elderly people that are belong to the church, wondering why the rectory is being taken down. It'd be nice if the rectory could stay, and it would even make it that much more of a better project. But again, the existing project is remarkable, and that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Sandy, can we just have your address for the record, please?
78 Beaulieu Street.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in favor? I mean, again, or opposition, or anyone want to speak at all? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, I'll turn it over to, this time we'll turn it over to the board members. Anybody have any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure, Mr. Bichette?
Just a couple points, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is applying under 8.1, which is conversion of existing buildings, so the zoning code does address that. That doesn't require a zoning change, and it meets the criteria as to what would trigger that and the historic nature of the building, and then it spells out the specific conditions of which actually the applicant has addressed in their submission of their application. So from the conversion of the existing use of the buildings, that's why you're applying for 8.1. That addresses it, not requiring a zoning change. What I did notice is the actual zone, existing zone for the two-family is a traditional two-family zone, that corner.
That's correct.
So, yeah, you're building for the appropriate zone. And then the single-family homes and the traditional single-family homes. So if I've dissected all of that, just as the applicability of the zoning. So I'm quite satisfied with that. And I will say, I wish we could use this as a template for any large project coming before us. This fiscal impact analysis was actually very valuable, because that's one of the criteria of, fiscal impact, and we very seldom do we get a package this comprehensive. In the methodology, it's not a perfect science, by the way.
Right.
It's like when UMass Lowell talks about their fiscal impact to the city. It's not a perfect science, but the methodology was reviewed by the city, did look at it. It seemed perfectly reasonable to conclude that it would have a positive fiscal impact to the city. And there is a central business district. It is a neighborhood business district. It's a walkable neighborhood. I'm just thinking about the increased customers for those businesses that will be moving into the neighborhood. I think that's going to, if I was a business owner there, I certainly would be pleased to see that going on. Really pleased to see the single-family homes going in on Bunker Hill Street. I think that was a great idea to put that in there. I understand what Sandy's comments, but honestly, the usable open space was obviously, it's a challenge whenever you do the conversion of these larger buildings, and the lot area per dwelling unit. So I just think it was a good balance. I would have liked to have seen that landscape plan, revised plan, before this evening. That seems to be a reoccurring theme, whether it be you, council, or anybody that seems to come before us. But I do appreciate that did jump out at me. We do have the requirement, every 10 spaces, there's supposed to be a landscape island. That helps to break that sea of asphalt look as well. Because right now, that site looks pretty stark right now when you look at it. So, the added landscape is gonna be nice, but if we can do something with that.
Yeah, and we certainly intend to do that, and we can accomplish it.
Right.
It's just it didn't make it to the...
I would have liked to have seen it.
Yeah, I understand.
Again, it is an urban setting. You did a good job identifying the recreational locations that are within the development itself. I think you're keeping the architectural integrity of the existing buildings, which I like. I'm delighted to see what's going on the school right now. Went by there, took some photos. I wish we had thought of that stockade fence that you put up. That really looks nice. Can't take credit for that, but I think it looks good. And appreciate the comment about the input the boards had on that. And I'll be honest with you, the applicant found themselves in the middle of a battle between the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board as to what we thought the right thing to do. And I think you handled it in a professional way, trying to navigate through that. And I think we came out with something that I'm pleased with what is going on there at the moment and how it's proceeding. My God, so if they charged you per page for the traffic analysis, it was 306 pages, so obviously I didn't print it. But I did review that in staff comments. The city's traffic engineer I think overall was satisfied with the methodology. There were, as noted, some recommended conditions. One thing, though, I did not see in the package, and I would have liked to have received some comments from the fire department. And I guess, Fran, have we received anything? Did I miss something, I guess?
No, we didn't receive any comments.
And I know that Peter did reach out specifically to the fire department.
I asked Peter that as well myself.
Yeah,
Yesterday we spoke. He said he's reached out on several occasions,
yeah.
because that was a question I had as well.
So I mean,
I mean,
I would
sometimes
take
we
that
get
as they're
negative comments,
comfortable with
sometimes we
the-
get no comments, so,
right,
so.
I would suggest that no comment is they
because
don't have any issue.
Because it was even mentioned in the traffic engineer's comments, about the fire department.
Right, I saw
And
that.
that's why, I think all of us reading that, like,
Yeah,
it definitely rang a bell.
Yeah, I can't accept silence as being
Yeah, but,
acceptance on this, I really can't, especially when it's even commented by the traffic engineer that there should be some input by the fire department. So obviously, we'd want to get input from the fire department regarding some of the dead-end drive lanes, and, yeah, I just was disappointed that there wasn't any comments that we had. So obviously, I would be looking to add a condition on that. I mean, obviously, they would pipe up when it became time to pull permits, I suspect, but it really should come
yeah.
before this board if they have any concerns, so we can incorporate it into the site plan. So I'm not, that's not your fault, Counselor, I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
not
I
pleased.
agree, you just,
No.
what can you do?
It was noted, the combined sewage overflow is an issue within the city, and by redirecting the roof drainage out of the city sewer, that's going to be obviously a plus there as well. You are required to make sure that you do not create more runoff than currently exists, and calculations appear to support that, and obviously the engineering department would require that.
Yep.
So from that perspective, overall, I'm pleased with the plan. I think there were a number of people here that recognize how important it is to get that site developed. It's going to provide some, I think, again, much-needed housing. I think it's a good reuse of the site. And what I really saw was the financial benefit, I think, to the businesses around there. I just think, creating that much housing in that business district is going to help. I really do.
Can't help but help, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. So, look forward to hear my comments from my fellow board members. But that's all I have at the moment, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Mr. Bishop. Caleb, any questions, comments?
Just one question. So for the single family, are there going to be garages or there's just going to be driveways?
Yeah, so, yes, if you could. So we have some plans we can put up there right now. There are no garages in the single-family homes. There are 3 bedrooms, I think 2.5 baths, about 2,000 square feet.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Got it. So for the duplexes, they will be both entering from
West 6th and
West
Bunker
6.
Hill.
So it's a little different than the site plan, right?
Well,
Yeah. So site plan have it for one from the other driveway.
believe the entrance, the driveways, one will be on West 6th and one will be on Bunker Hill.
But
Correct.
both of them have garages facing front, right?
Right. I thought that's what I said. So, yeah, the driveway on West 6th and a driveway on Bunker Hill. Does the plan show something different there?
Well, because the plan is showing both duplexes having
Yeah, it's
garage
showing it
facing the
straight
same
in.
way, right? So it's a minor detail, but
Yeah, so,
Ex-
but the site plan shows the driveways on, one on West 6th, one on Bunker Hill, and that's what the design will be.
Are you sure?
That's, the elevation, I guess, is inaccurate.
oh, okay. So one garage will face
Yeah.
the other way. Okay. I just
I don't
want
know
to be
if-
sure that you are correct.
Yeah, you know what the answer to that is? So, looking at the plan, both garages. So yes, the
Okay.
garage will be turned.
Okay, all right. And I mean, it's a minor detail, so if
Yeah.
you do have to change the site plan, I mean, that's minor modification. Let's see. So I think fellow member Frechette already covered most of the things, and I do agree that this is a very balanced plan, and you are not seeking variances. You have enough parking, and other than that little corner that the covenant cut into the single family, which the chapter 8.1, section 8.1 provide a provision for conversion. You are proposing the houses and duplexes in the corresponding district, so that's wonderful. The pedestrian circulation makes sense, and I also want to give credit to the TDM, that a plan that you prepared. I think this is also a good template for other development. Makes sense, and the transportation engineer agrees with what you're proposing and recommends that you implement it. So, want to say good job, and I'm in support of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Jeanette?
Yeah, hi. I am really excited by this project. I think it's an impressive adaptive reuse of a historically significant set of buildings. I'm really viewing it more as a master plan of the site, and so I just want to commend the applicants and the application. That it's a really impressive proposal. It'll be exciting to see it when it's complete. I do have some questions. My first was, will it be carried out in a single phase? I know it's called phase 2 of the project, but will it be complete at once, or will it be kind of phased over time?
Kind of, but no. So we'll most likely start in the middle school, get about 60 to 70% along before we start to tackle the church and the convent. But all of the site work will get done within that first immediate phase. So it would appear, that it'll all be getting done at the same time, but probably the guts of the convent and the church, we'll stagger it for many reasons. The most glaring is just financial. We don't want to have to put so many units on the market all at once and carry costs, et cetera. So to be able to stagger it a little bit is going to help us just make sure that it's smooth sailing.
That's helpful. Thank you. I was just curious if one piece would be sitting longer, but it sounds like it'll all kind of be happening at the same time. Another question I had was, I think you mentioned that all of the appliances are electrical appliances, but I was curious if all of the mechanical systems are electrical too.
It's going to be 100% electric,
Yeah, thank you. That's really exciting to see the developer kind of going forward with that.
as is the school building that's under construction.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by that and excited that it's all 100% electric. I had another question that's a little bit more technical. There's the requirement that the historical, I think the adaptation of the historical structure not be increased by 10% of gross floor area. And I think you said that it was the building footprint wasn't changing, but the building footprint is different than the gross floor area. So I was just curious. I might have missed it, but I was curious if you could provide some clarification on that.
Right, so with regard to the school and convent building, the additions there will be the reuse of the attic space in the school building with the addition of the dormers in the attic, and the addition of a fourth story on the convent building. So those are all within the footprint of the building, but within the 10% requirement. With regard to the church, we're adding, we have, I think, 30 foot from floor to ceiling. So we're building in they're building in a second story there to house 8 units. So with that, we believe we're within the 10% requirement.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was within the floor area requirement and not the building footprint.
Within
I
the
know it's-
existing floor area of the building. Everything that's being done is within the existing floor area, except for the convent, the additional story in the convent.
Right, but it's adding floor area.
It's
is the
adding more,
difference.
but.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
sure.
And then those were my only questions, and I just wanted to kind of run through the things that I'm really excited by, just to reiterate them. I think it's maybe repeating some of my fellow board member comments, but I mentioned the all electrical mechanical systems and appliances, adding the shade trees to the street, I think, and the pervious surface along the street, I think, is a real improvement to the site itself. Again, I mentioned the preserving and the adaptive reuse of the structure is really exciting, and also the accessibility upgrades being made to the building, that accessible front entrance, and adding an elevator to the building. So those were my only comments and questions. Thank you.
I just have a couple of comments. I think everything was covered by other board members. So obviously, you saw a copy of our transportation engineer's report.
Excuse me?
You saw a copy of the transportation
We do,
engineer?
yeah, we have a copy of that, and we agree with the proposed
Recommendations?
conditions.
Yeah, I think she had like on page 3, summary of the recommendations.
That's correct. We did review those recommendations, and we're agreeable to everything that's suggested or proposed.
So I know, like, let's see, several of them she put in as requested a condition of approval, which was the road safety audit. And then she mentioned the traffic demand management. The on-site landscape and snow storage areas should be located within the sight lines. We have no problem with that. So on number 10, the drive aisle width through the site and adjacent to on-street parking are provided in accordance with the zoning ordinance. Stop signs and stop bars should be provided on the plan where appropriate. And then she talks about crosswalks should be provided on the plan where appropriate across the site driveways on Beauvais Street and West Sixth Street, across the site access aisles where sidewalk is proposed. You acceptable to that as well?
We
Mr.
are,
Ken?
we are. Those were part of the recommendations of the transportation impact analysis as well.
So basically, you're in agreement with our transportation engineer? in
We
all her
do agree.
recommendations? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I gotta admit, it's nice to hear the residents speak well about local developers
Yeah.
who work and live in the city.
Right.
And I think as the Realtor gentleman said here, says, you speak about a lot of things, when you work and live here, you see what goes on, and really the feel of the neighborhood, instead of, no disrespect to another developer coming in, but people who've been here, understand what's going on with the neighbors, and I applaud, meeting with them ahead of time. Whenever an applicant has the opportunity to meet with the neighborhood associations ahead of time, I feel it makes it easier for us, because you explain a lot of things to them. A lot of times they come before us, they don't understand everything that's gonna happen. So they're a little more confused, or they don't understand as well. But once you lay it out ahead of time, it makes it a lot simpler for the neighbors as well as us to try to answer some of their questions. But if you answer them ahead of time, I think that diffuses some of the situation. But the fact that you have local people working in the local area, and now that they can see what we approved before, which took a lot of work,
Right.
as you well know.
did.
And that's when we started without a traffic engineer, which,
Right.
if we had that to begin with that project, I think that one would've came through a lot quicker, because we probably had, at least 4 meetings on that, if not more?
At least.
And that was before, after the zoning board of appeals
Right.
made their recommendations, then came back before, then you had to re-advertise with them all over again.
And the neighborhood groups are well organized, so that makes it a little bit easier for us
Yeah,
as
sure.
applicants as well.
Yeah, and like when I was here today, the first thing I noticed was that fence,
Yeah.
and like, wow, that made a big difference for that buffer zone. I mean, and the outside of the building's coming along real good. And
Yeah, I had the opportunity to walk through the property with Jim, and the rear property is amazing. The grass sod with the patio area, the outdoor open space for the tenants,
Right.
which at one point we thought might be parking, so
Right. And-
that worked
It
out
didn't come
well.
from this board, Counselor.
No, I remember, I was very big on that open space in the back there.
So were we.
I mean, I wanted that from day one, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you need a place for open space for these people. I mean, we're gonna live there.
Yeah,
I mean, more so than a parking spot. I mean,
right.
And if you pave it, it's just not the same if people are gonna sit out there. But I think, obviously, they're doing a good job on the building that took so long to get approved. I think it eased a lot of concern to the neighbors, which, that's why you had so many people speaking in favor of it
Right.
tonight. I mean, and we didn't have that the first time we go around.
We did not.
No, I mean, so, I applaud the applicants for doing it, and I applaud the neighbors to come out and speak their piece and tell us
Yeah.
that it looks good, we want it in our neighborhood, we like it, so.
Yeah, and we certainly appreciate that.
And I mean, everybody has a busy schedule to come down and, speak their piece about their neighborhood. I appreciate everybody coming down here. It's very important to us, and we really appreciate it, so. And I'm in favor of the project as well. I think it's gonna be nice. You drive by, like it says, it's a school. What's gonna happen to it? And then the question was before, you're dealing with the archdiocese, tell them that, you're not gonna give them this much money, but as you know, they're not very negotiable for that. I mean, they have a set price and got to deal with that. But, I mean, like you say, after a while, people realize something's gonna get built there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, this will be something that the neighbors are gonna like, and it's gonna be, help beautify that whole area. Because, the buildings are starting to look run down a little bit now. When I was there today, you could see some of the windows are broken, and like one of the buildings that's gonna be ripped down, and some of the other matters. But I think, the main thing is, so I know we talked a lot about the storm water. So I mean, obviously, wouldn't have any objection if we make a recommendation that you get the stormwater permit approval.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you have to get that anyways, but I think.
Get it anyway.
You've been working with them to date anyways, and it sounds like it's gonna be less of a runoff than what
Net decrease.
that's there now, yeah, which is, like, we all know what the CSO issues are in the city, and a lot of old cities have that problem anyways, but it's just difficult to fix.
Yeah.
So, I applaud you and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Good luck on that, so I guess what we need here is 2 motions for special permit and 1 motion for a site plan. I mean, and I think I agree too with the landscape, and I think you mentioned that if we could put some more shade trees in where that parking area is, I think that would help beautify those islands there.
Right.
And I think you said you could do that as well. So, what's the request of the board? Like I said, we have a site plan and 2 special permit requests.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan with the following conditions. And I'm just going to recite them, Mr. Chairman, so that it's clear what the recommendation, even with the transportation engineer, but that the applicant will maintain landscaping and snow windrows to below 3 feet in height within intersection site triangles. The applicant will facilitate a road safety audit along the West 6th Street corridor between the Aiken Ave intersection and Bunker Hill Ave intersection. The applicant will implement the transportation demand management measures as outlined in the traffic impact analysis, including A, transportation coordinator will be assigned for the project to coordinate the TDM program. B, information regarding commuting options will be posted in a central location and/or otherwise made available to residents. C, a welcome packet will be provided to new residents detailing available public transportation services, bicycle and walking alternatives, and commuter options, and will include contact information for the transportation coordinator. D, secure bicycle parking will be provided for the residential apartment buildings. Following conditions that the applicant must receive final approval by the City of Lowell Fire Department, that a final landscaping plan to be submitted and approved by, to DPD and approved by DPD. And again, we make that clear if there are some issues that DPD has, and they look basically for a referee, it comes back here to the planning board for final approval. But it would be intended that it would be more administrative at this point, incorporating the elements we discussed. And then also subject to storm water permit approval. And I really believe we should have revised a floor plan reflecting the mailroom, the entrances, and the additional entrances as well.
On that
Yes.
one, I do notice maybe some of the unit seems to be missing a bathroom. I'm not sure, but on the,
You're absolutely correct, but that was revised on, we submitted an updated plan, and
Okay.
that has been revised.
okay, thank
We
you.
have to revise them.
Sorry, interrupt.
Yeah, no, thank you. So that's, would be the conditions of the site plan, Mr. Chairman.
So we will update all of that.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made by Mr. Bichette and second by Ms. Galvin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none, the site plan is approved, 4 in favor and none against. Next matter would be a special permit to convert a historic structure and on neighborhood landmarks under section 8.1. I'll make a motion to approve with the same conditions as approved in the site plan.
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none. That special permit is approved. Now we need a final site plan, a final special permit to waive the minimum lot area per dwelling unit and minimum usable open space requirement under 8.1310.
I made a motion to approve the site special permit per the section 8.1.3 to waive the dwelling unit per land area per dwelling unit limit. And is there another thing?
The minimum lot area per dwelling, minimum usable open space. We're correct, yep.
And the minimum usable open
okay.
space, yes.
I'll second the motion. Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion carries. So the site plan and the 2 special permits have been approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming and speaking. I appreciate all your help, really. Thank you. Good luck. Invite us over when it starts to get together, will you, please? Sometimes, invite us over when it starts to get together, you know? Sometimes people don't invite us to look at it, but we like to see the final result, and, you know, thank you. Good luck. Sure. We're just going to take a 3-minute break before we set up for the next matter. Thank you.
Amazing presentation.
You all set, Fran? Okay, back on the agenda. The next matter we have is a site plan review for 20 Peyton Street. Isla Verde Group LLC has applied to the Lowell Planning Board to operate a marijuana production manufacturing facility at the above address. The subject property is located in the light industrial zoning district. The proposal requires site plan review approval pursuant to section 7.10 and section 11.4 for the Lowell Planning Board. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Hello, my name is Rodney Taylor. I am the owner-operator of Isla Verde Group, LLC. Isla Verde's first production facility is planned to be located at 20 Peyton Street and in a secured manufactured space that is about 400 square feet. The space requires no significant modifications beyond security system installations, and there'll be no external or internal major modifications to the building. We have an agreement with the owner/landlord to this plan. For more detailed information regarding the parking spaces, lighting, landscape, snow removal, please see the site plans. The building is in a quiet area, and the company anticipates no major changes in traffic as the company only deals business to business with couriers. Up to 5 employees are anticipated to be hired in the first year, and there's adequate parking to support their presence. In regards to the pickup and delivery of the product, there is a metal door just outside the facility space inside the building from which all deliveries and pickups will be made from the armored delivery couriers in full view of security system. I don't know the protocol for these. This is my first planning board meeting. We have the comments, and I have some answers to the comments that we had. The suggestion by the police for upon the first meeting, there was some major security issues they had. So we worked with the landlord to go to the second floor to ease some of those concerns, like people being able to access from the outside of the building on the first floor. So we're on the second floor. We plan on having bars on the windows, security doors, key entrance, fob, all the security measures that are required by the state. We have a local Lowell company, ADT, has already quoted us the price for the system. After meeting with the police officer, he advised us not to do a build-out of that system before we met with the board members first, in case there was something wrong with the site. I'm a social equity applicant. I don't have a lot of finances to try to do these sorts of things. That's why it's a production facility. It's just going to be a small, no grow, no sale, just a production facility. We will be receiving in a courier service marijuana products. We will make it into products, and then the courier will take it out. There's no plan for long-term storage of any marijuana on site. We have gotten a letter from the fire department and the police department giving us approval for the first steps of the plan before a build-out. They would like to come see it after a build-out, along as with the state regulatory body. But this is just the step we needed to get this license before we can go forward in the licensing process. Therefore, we're asking for a provisional approval to move forward, knowing that these elements will be put in place, that the security will be put in place, that met the police office's worries and concerns. The only thing we could not get in touch with the waste department for an approval. There was a little miscommunication. I'm not sure if I misworded what I needed from them, but we planned on using private trash anyway, and no marijuana products were going to be disposed of. It's not like we have plant material to dispose of or waste from the marijuana. Any marijuana that would be disposed of would be composted per the rules of the state's regulations, and then taken to an off-site compost. Any trash in the area, in the building, would be regular cardboard, boxes, packaging. It wouldn't be any marijuana products. We've wanted to make sure to try to divert any products from getting into the community that shouldn't be in the community. We would be using the metric system to keep track of all products in and out of the facility. We would have a visitor check-in, ID badge checks. The thought is it's a small facility with a couple employees, not a lot of people, no signage, not like a storefront, just a business-to-business entity in this market. We have already come to an agreement with the city of Lowell for an HCA agreement. It's a loose binding contract between my company and the city about tax revenue. A 3% gross revenue would be earmarked for the city to use for police, schooling, and other approvals. I printed out, I was told I didn't need to bring the site plan because we're not updating the site. We're just renting a space in the building, not even the entire building, just 400 square feet location. On the second floor, there's no other businesses currently up there. And if everything went well, we would eventually try to rent more of the building on the upstairs to go to expand the business. Right now, we're just planning on doing pre-rolls, just a basic, quick product. We don't need water. We don't need any utilities. I needed just a space, a secure, a safe, somewhere that's safe and secure that I can have cameras and can operate as a business. And being that Lowell already has a couple marijuana businesses in it, I live down the street from here. I figured that this would be a good municipality to try to start at. And we reached out to a landlord in the area, and we worked on a deal with him. We've been paying him rent for about a year. We're currently waiting on funding from the state grant program that is being stood up at this time. It was supposed to be operational in November of last year, but there was some issues with the auditor getting the money to the program in the correct, but it should be under operation this year, and we plan on trying to get some of the grant money to pay for the security systems and the things like this, for the build-out to meet specifications that the state's laid out. I'm just trying to stay by the specifications that the state's given and the regulations, and my only thought was that I didn't know if there was any specific regulations for Lowell that I was missing that you guys would like us to implement into the plan. That's why I think I'm here.
Well, can you tell us what the date of your plan is?
The date?
I see 12/1/20.
We've been already renting for a year. I can't give you a definitive timeline on.
So the plan you submitted,
Yep.
it should have a date on it. The date I have, bottom right corner, 12/1/20.
Yeah, this was the initial site plan from the building when they bought it. I didn't pay anybody to use the site plan.
So where'd this come from?
From the city of Lowell.
So you didn't submit a site plan?
No, because we're just renting a small space in the building.
Okay. Did you submit a floor plan?
I believe that's in the application.
No. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at, but it doesn't, so,
I didn't hire an architect. I didn't have the money to hire an architect to go in there. It's just a small unit. I'm trying to rent a space.
I know, but it has to meet certain criteria.
No, and I understand that. That's why I didn't have those drawings. I didn't know.
Okay. I'm just asking questions, 'cause- okay?
No, I just wanted to have the answers. I'm sorry. That's all.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
I have a copy of the blueprint for the security layout, if you guys wanted to look at that. It shows the location of the cameras in the potential unit, the type of cameras, intercom systems, things of that nature. Because it was a blueprint, it's just a basic drawing, I didn't submit it. But I have copies for all the board members if you guys wanted to look at it.
Sure. Yep. Anything you can show us is helpful. Yep.
I didn't know what.
Oh, this is the one that's handwritten.
Yes, from the ADT guy, that's the only blueprint he gave me.
Oh, yeah, we've seen this, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
That-
yeah.
the same
Oh, yeah,
as in the
we saw
packet.
that, yeah, okay. Okay, you can have that back, yeah. I already got it.
So a comment about this one, usually on the facilities that we review, we aren't always provided this because usually the police department reviews it and then they just let us know what it is because for
Yeah.
security reasons.
No, because this is the second one. He came and looked at the first floor, and then he gave me his concerns and asked if there was a different location or potentially upstairs.
Certainly.
So then we talked to the landlord. We went upstairs. He came back out. He said, "You're just gonna need the bars, a new door, like a secure door."
Okay.
And there's some basic construction to finish some of the walls off in the units. That he was like, "That's an issue."
Okay.
But I wouldn't leave a 2-foot gap in the. I have a picture of an example.
So what I'm trying to say is, from the board previous experience, I will expect like, you work this out with the police department and then we get their
A
comments
finalized
instead.
and approval from them. I have an
Correct.
approval saying that that is okay to move forward with, but that once we installed everything, before we began operation, they would need to come back out and verify that everything was put in and it was okay.
So what is the latest,
Oh, she gonna speak in? My partner wanted to say something, I believe.
Yeah, what were you about to ask?
Name and address, please, for the record.
Oh, hello. My name is Katrina Savage, and I am actually partners with Rodney for Isla Verde Group. Yeah, so we're in a little bit of a catch-22. Basically, we've been discouraged from executing the build-out of the 400 square feet that the landlord has earmarked for us because we want to ensure that we can get past this stage before we make that investment. We are social equity applicants, so we don't have the typical corporate budgets that people have. And we are trying to work with the state for the grant, and our landlord knows that. It's in our new promissory letter. So we understand what we have to do to build out the space, and that this is kind of the first round before we can get it looked at again after we know that it's the proper site for this establishment. I hope that helps in any way.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
Just in closing, that we planned on, in our HCA contract with the city of Lowell, we had stated that we would hire a group to work in the schools for the children, putting on some presentations for healthy eating and exercise and some other things like that on top of the 3% gross agreement. We want to be part of the community and try
Right,
to help
that's
is what I'm
the
trying to
goal.
say. My kids went to Lowell schools, so.
Yeah, we're just a small business.
Thank you. Okay, at this point in time, I'll open up. Anybody want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. At this time, we'll turn it over to the board members if they have any comments.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just for clarification, because I think, so did the police department, were there comments on the first floor submission?
The comment was on the first floor and the second floor, because on the second floor, they're doing construction, so the units aren't finished. I have a picture I printed out of what some of the units look like and some of the security issues the police officer brought to my attention.
And yes, the police did write a second letter.
Excuse me,
in
ma'am,
regards
can one
to-
person speak at a time? We're not in the playground, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Fran, and Thank you very much, appreciate that. Fran, what's DPD's understanding of what you received from the police department?
My understanding is that I was notified by Rodney and Katrina that by email that the unit that they intended to occupy would change to the second floor per the advice that they received from the police department.
Okay.
I don't have a floor plan or like lease for that unit. I also was sent a second letter, but they said it was a different letter reflecting the second floor, but when I looked at it, it appeared to be the exact same letter as the one that the board has, so I didn't bother forwarding it because it was the same one to my, based on my reading of it. And they said that the police recommendations for new windows, floors, and doors remains the same, as does their police's comment that the applicant should contact the Cannabis Control Commission regarding whether this site is a suitable site for marijuana-related use. All of those comments are still applicable regardless of the unit, is my understanding.
Is your understanding? Because it is a little confusing as to what was submitted. And I mean, again, it was a little challenging finding. I was actually looking for a first floor location, and even the signage, it was really up, you had to go up the stairs to the
That's the
second
only
floor.
entrance to that unit, to the second floor. Because part of the issue with the first floor is that it had such an open floor plan because they had already finished, and it's an antique store.
Right.
Except for the unit that I was gonna use.
Right.
Where the second floor, they're still doing construction. It's completely empty. They're gutting it. The pictures I have of the unit have stuff all over the place because they're just emptying. I was told it was an old storage unit, so they're trying to clean that out. And we're trying to get this license and everything situated so we can go in there and do a build out.
All right, thank you. And then to Caleb's point, and I, you know, the fact that it found its way into this packet, that hand sketch of the camera locations, everything, and it's more for safety reasons, and it's even in the zoning ordinance. That's usually what gets submitted to the police department. Doesn't make our public package, so that, you know, again, the public has no idea.
I gave
Right.
him.
No, that's fine, but I'm just saying this is what, so, and then typically we would get then a recommendation from the police department.
Well, and I know that the police department was a little, they had reached out to the CCC after our first meeting.
Sure.
And they were not able to get anybody got back to them.
Okay.
I tried to reach out to try to get some clarification. I was not able to get through to anybody.
Right.
Because I wanted some of the same sort of information so I could come into this meeting with something more
Right.
substantial.
Now, and then it was commented, because, you know, the odor control, I mean, you're going to be putting together products, so you're going to be buying raw material.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be making a finished product, right?
Correct.
So.
We have
I
an
guess-
odor mitigation system. We plan on getting carbon filters with some O2 offset to put
But,
some fresh
so-
air out.
but well, at the moment, right, we don't have in the plan, like, how that would be located, where it would be located, and the feasibility of it within that location.
The O2 would just be in the room, and it would just create excess O2. That's the way it was explained to me. Because they said if it was a bigger, if I was doing a grow or something bigger, you would have an HVAC system be put in specifically to vent those smells. But since I don't feasibly see there being more than a couple pounds of material in the space at any time, the company, the unit that we plan on getting would cover that odor.
I think I'd want something, I'll be honest with you, we've approved a lot of facilities in the city law. I don't think we've ever handled something that small. So.
Because it's just going to be me. in there.
Understood. Yeah, so I don't even know what's appropriate, and we don't have anything official.
That's
as-
kind of some of the problems that I've been running
Yeah.
into. Everybody that's done builds, it's been big facilities
Right.
or medium-sized retail. I haven't heard of a lot of people trying to do just a small scale production.
Right.
But to me, to get into the business, that was the easiest price point of entry. It's a lot cheaper to build a small facility than a big grow or a store.
All right, I don't know about the fellow board members, I just, you know, I'll be honest with you, a lot of these applications is what we get from the police department carries a lot of weight.
No, and I definitely, 'cause I know he was frustrated that the CCC did not get back to them.
Right,
And so he told me not to do the build out, that he wasn't sure if that would be, I think part of it is the small size of the unit.
right,
That he didn't know if that would be approved by the CCC. The people I've talked to at the beginning, when I laid out my initial plans in the program, I was told that this would be no problem, that it shouldn't be any issues because it's so small. But
okay.
I think that's part of the issue. It's not a big, I don't have lawyers, I don't have architects. It's so small that I'm not hitting a lot of the details that usually are accompanied.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Caleb, any questions, comments?
She can go first, I suppose. if
Okay,
there's
go ahead, ma'am, whatever you want to add.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say again, like, the reason why we are such a small operation is just because we are a social equity business. We have to qualify within a certain bracket of the poverty level in order to be in this program. So we are not the typical kind of applicant, and that's why we can't go ahead and make this build out before we know for sure that it is the wise thing to do, because every dollar matters. It's coming out of our hourly labor. You know, we're just not the typical applicant, but that's why this program was designed, just to let people like us into the market to try to have a fair share and restore some elements of justice from the past. So if that explains why we're just a micro business now, like, we intend to basically be a mom and pop's business and continue to grow through strategic, you know, problem solving and production.
Part of the reason we chose Lowell is we've already reached out to a couple, there's a grow operation that we've talked to about getting product from potentially, and it would be easier if it was closer than for the courier.
To add on to Member Frichette's comment, so I would think that the odor mitigation, we need something like, say, maybe the manufacturer of the product to provide some
specifications or something, definitely.
yeah, that it will work, and also like seems like the building have some construction and whether like the window doorways, those are sealed or somehow
No, we
maybe
planned on sealing them and then putting bars over them
Yeah.
to bar access from.
Oh, not necessarily access, but like air gap or something, or you know, otherwise when the odor goes out, you
control
can't
the odor.
operate
No, I get-
because we will have one of the condition is that you know you don't have odor out in
Certainly
you
amenable
know.
to that, to try
But-
and keep, don't want to be a nuisance to the neighborhood.
Certainly, but we need to make sure that you know you're not. I would guess
There will be no usage of any product on grounds. That's against the regulations.
I understand.
And we're not going to be bringing product in and out ourselves. It would only be through the courier, and it would be bagged and not noticeable.
So we just
there's
want to
also-
we just want to make sure the odor mitigation is adequate so
Definitely.
that you know we won't have a problem later on, and which will be your problem ultimately.
Yes, no, I don't want that either.
Because we do have facilities that have elaborate system that does not work, and they have to modify it, they have to address it before they can continue. So I think as part of a review, we need to have some way to figure out what you're coming up with will work on that space.
Yeah, the brand and the specifications of the models and everything.
Yes.
No, I can understand that completely.
One other point, if I may, is that there are no other tenants on that floor of the building, and there are none planned right now. So there's no one to disturb. And we've notified all the abutters, and we had our community outreach meeting last night to give people a chance to have their opinion heard, and there were no objections.
There was no negative
So
feedback.
definitely no negative feedback. So, yeah, but we are able to get those systems quoted and include them in our grant request with the social equity trust fund program that we're going for as part of this program and process.
Okay, so I think what, at least I can think of on top of my head, is an explanation of how the odor mitigation will be adequate. And with evidence that, the system works from this manufacturer, et cetera, right? So that's for odor mitigation. Same thing for police department. You have to work with them. Because they are the expert on security, and if they say the space won't work, we take their words. So if you cannot convince them, then I don't think you have a project. So I think we need an approval from them, and same thing for fire as well. And if you don't hear from them, then it's not like there is no problem, as I think you're aware from the last project.
We can't go forward with a build-out to get their approval until we get approval from you guys.
Yeah, it's an unfinished space, and we know that, so we do have to build walls, we have to build a door, and we have a letter with our landlord that we are responsible for making all of the modifications, and he's agreeable to us making all the modifications the police have suggested. So yeah, we're in a little bit of a catch-22 on it, but we also do have a brand new letter of approval from the fire department today, if Rodney has that example to share, as well as a promissory note.
I think
those should be shared.
there's a misunderstanding about the approval process. So we're not asking, and no one's asking that you build it and then it gets approved. Typically,
But the police said they won't give a security approval till they see the security system in place.
typically what we see from our end is we see floor plans that
Talk to the security company was there when we went. They gave,
But we're a
You let her
planning
please
board.
finish talking before you interrupt?
apologize.
Please?
Yeah, we're a planning board, and typically we see the plan, and I feel like we're not really seeing a plan right now. Typically, we see floor plans that are identifying the improvements that you make. We're not asking you to make them in advance, but we're looking for a floor plan and a document that outlines everything you're going to do. And then that's reviewed, if I understand it right, that's reviewed by the police department. They sign off on it. There's a security plan associated, and these are typically all submitted to us in advance. So we're not asking for the space to be complete, but we're asking for a proper plan, and I think that that's what's missing here, and that's why there's maybe some confusion.
I haven't had the money to hire an architect to get a proper plan.
We're
I don't have
we're
the
permitting.
And the funds from the trust fund aren't available yet. And I've been renting the space already for a little more than a year. And when we started putting these applications in, nobody was like, you're going to need drawings, you're going to need all this stuff. It's been very trying to figure out as we go.
Well,
So the only comment I have is,
Yeah.
the planning board, okay, per section 7.10 of our zoning ordinance, okay, marijuana cultivation applications must receive approval from the Lowell Fire Department, the Lowell Police Department, and the Lowell Solid Waste and Recycling before the planning board can approve an application. So until you have the approval, you said you have the fire department, that's one check.
And the police gave me-
Sir, I am speaking. Until you have the approval of the Lowell Police Department and the Lowell Solid Waste Department, then it indicates that we should not approve the project until those two conditions are met.
I have the letter from the police and the fire. The waste is the only one I don't have.
Yeah, and it does not say you have approval, correct?
Okay, I will
Correct.
talk to the
It
police
says
officer.
that we need
We saw the letter dated back in July.
I understand, I'm sorry.
The proposal location has been viewed by the Lowell Police Department, and we have voiced our concerns to Mr. Taylor. Doors, windows, and walls must be upgraded and secured. Final approval of the security plan must be granted by the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission prior to operation. It was strongly recommended to Mr. Taylor to consult with the Massachusetts Cannabis Control recommendation as to the suitability of the proposed location prior to incurring the expense of renovation. So under our rules, we can't vote in favor of this project until the security plan is approved by the Lowell Police Department. So until you get their approval, we can't approve your application.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. So we can either act on it tonight, you can withdraw the plan, you can come back in a future date when you have everything lined up. You can ask for continuance to get that, whatever you'd like.
Continuance would be nice, because I don't have the money to put another ad in and to do this whole process all over again.
So what do you want to, what's your
A
request?
continuance, please?
I'm sorry?
A continuance
Okay, so when do you think you'd have all this stuff done?
in a month maximum.
So you think you'll have a letter by the fire department, the police department in a month?
I have the letter from the fire department right now.
Police department and the Lowell Solid Waste and Recycling Plant.
The waste is the only issue I've been running into. They
You have
told
to
me
get it by the waste department and police department.
They said they
Lowell
don't do this.
Police Department.
The police department I can get in touch with, that's not an issue. They'll come out and we can talk. The waste told me they don't do this sort of stuff numerous times.
Staff,
Fran, she's out seeing you, Fran, go ahead, Fran.
right, staff can help the applicant get in touch with the stormwater department. I'm wondering if maybe the point of contact that he spoke to is unfamiliar or hasn't worked, and that's why they were confused, but we can help them get in touch with solid waste and recycling.
Okay. And we'd like to see more of a floor plan set up, you know?
I'll reach out to the security company to see if I can get a
I
blueprint
mean,
drawing.
because, you're not using the whole second floor, right?
No.
So we don't know what you're using.
Yeah, yes, no, and I can understand.
I mean, when I went there today, I couldn't even find the sign for the building, which has to be done for the notice requirement. I spoke to a gentleman who's working in the building painting.
Did they
He
take
knew
this?
nothing
I
about
put a
it.
sign up on the,
Second, up the stairs and up on the door, which was not accessible to the public who drives by.
okay, I thought that was.
Okay?
how-
I spent 20 minutes on that site. I couldn't find it. I spoke with a gentleman working in the site. He's never seen it. He's in there painting. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about.
'Cause
Because the
they've been-
second floor is vacant. I don't know what they're doing up there. I mean.
No, I
so,
understand
I
that.
mean, if you put it outside, so when people drive by, they see the sign. The sign is to notify people. On the second floor, up a stairway, in the corner, on a door.
I asked if we needed a sign outside, and I was told on the door was okay.
Who
No,
told you
that's
that?
my fault.
Who told you that?
I thought I had spoke to Francesca. I have an email, I believe, saying that it would be okay to put it on.
Okay, did you tell him he could put a sign on the door on the second floor, and that's okay for notice?
It-
Okay.
it
She
was-
said not
it
the
was the
second
wrong
floor.
door.
Okay, right, so.
It might have been the
Yeah,
first floor,
no-
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So, I mean, we have certain conditions that have to be met for us to vote on it. When the when the police department issues a security plan, we don't see it. They don't give it to us because it's supposed to be security, and therefore it doesn't come out at the public hearing here. They just tell us yes or no, and that is a prerequisite for the board to make an approval. So if it's not approved by the police department, we can't approve the plan.
I can't get the CCC to come out till I get approval from you guys, so
No,
I can
that's-
go for the next step in the licensing process.
Not true. We've done several
May-
of these. We've done many of these, and they've all have had the plan approved by the police department before they come to us.
Because they can
This
afford
is
to
the
have a
first-
build-out.
They go out and look at it. It all depends on what you're showing them. And if
Okay,
you're
I
not showing them
can-
what's good enough,
Okay.
then you're not
I'll
gonna get the
I
okay.
will attempt to get some drawings.
So you gotta satisfy them. If not, we can't vote in favor.
I understand that. If the information isn't there, you can't do anything without it.
I mean, it's in the regulations that the city council made. We have to abide by.
No,
Yeah, it's a prerequisite.
May I add?
Sure.
A few
Okay.
more things.
Yes.
In addition to those requirements, work with DBD to figure out other things, such as parking. You need to show where your parking is on the site plan. Like, you need to figure out how many
is there.
parking you need, among other things. I don't know if stormwater may be an issue, you need to work with DBD.
well, because
Right.
there's only going to be one person there.
Well,
So that's what I
Did you-
figured.
One person is one person, there is a requirement.
They have parking spaces. We're not adding any
Well,
additional
well,
parking.
well, let's get to the parking spaces, okay? We have comments from our city engineer.
Yes.
The roadway in front of the building is on private property and is not under the jurisdiction of the city. Being that it is not a city street, it is suggested that the layout of the sidewalk and the parking space in front of the building be reconfigured to clearly delineate the travel lanes in the parking area. It is unsafe, I repeat, unsafe the way the sidewalk does not follow the travel lane. It ends at the corner of the building where the parking spaces extend into the travel lane. So when we get a comment from the city engineer that a project is unsafe, under our site plan, we have to make sure that things are safe.
And I understand that, but that
So we're getting a
building's already
comment from the
like-
city engineer saying it's unsafe.
I don't own the building. I can't make
May
changes
I-
to it.
Doesn't matter to
No,
us who
please
owns the
let me,
building, but if we
ask-
get comments from the city engineer
No, and
that
I
says something is
understand that.
unsafe,
Peyton Street is the main street where the
I
parking.
know
was.
exactly where it is, sir.
I don't know what that side street is.
Well, I suggest you speak with the city engineer,
May I be?
I'm gonna have to go down there tomorrow.
okay? So, Fran, if you're looking for
Can
continuance,
anybody hear me?
what do we have available for continuance, looking at our schedule going
Oh.
forward?
I waited months for this one.
Please.
So we're gonna try to see
May I
what's
be heard?
available for scheduling.
The next
May I
available
be?
date
May I?
Go ahead, Fran.
is February 22nd.
February 22nd, okay.
Great. May I be heard at some point?
Sure, go ahead.
Great. Okay. So a lot of this was recent. We just got that notice about the engineer's comments, and they were just sent to Josh, who is our property manager at Frontier Development. Well, he's okay with all the changes. Again, he says that we need to pay for any of the modifications that are being suggested, but he's open and agreeable to them. And so we have that in order. And I just want to ask, are we able, so is what we need a contractor to just come out and make the drawings of the 400 square foot place? Because we have a drawing available of just the 12 by 20 kind of room. It's just crude, yes, but do we need to have those kind of plans for the police officer? Because again, like, we're not expected to build it out, but we do have the security plan for the proposed 12 by 20 room. So the only thing we're missing, I think, it sounds, besides the waste thing, which this is a private dumpster and we're not using any public services, but we'll get that, well, what is it? It's just, we need contractors to come out and draw this in a more professional manner. Is that correct?
I think, well, did you receive a copy of the comments that staff made for us? I suggest you follow through these comments. This is what we're going through, and this is everything that we've mentioned to you. Everything that we've discussed tonight is on these 2 pages of paper.
Okay. You guys only got 2 pieces of paper, is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry?
More
And
information
has
is what you
the-
guys.
Yeah, we need exactly more information, and we need these approvals by the police and the...
Verified, saying approved.
Yes.
Not saying, once you do this, it's okay.
Nope. We need
Okay,
final
I will talk
approval.
to the police officer about the verbiage in the letter.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we don't see security plans, we just get...
Well, 'cause he said it
either
was fine by
The police department says it's approved, or we deny. So, if they don't approve it, we can't approve it.
I thought it was approved, that's why I
Nope.
came forward.
Yep.
I
So
will talk.
I suggest, you can speak with staff, or you can speak with the police department, solid waste, and I would speak with engineering too about how you want to set up the parking in front of the building. If they're saying it's unsafe, you got to make, we don't approve projects unless they're safe. So, good luck. We can continue the matter if you like to February 22nd, if they think you can get that information before the
Yes,
board by that date and get your approvals in order. And have you been dealing at all with the Cannabis Control Commission?
Yeah, I'm on step 14 of 20-something in the
just asking.
licensing process.
Yeah,
I'm part of the
because
social equity.
I'm just saying, because the fire department said the applicant should consult with the Cannabis Control Commission
That's
as
what-
to the space that you're using. So I'm just asking what it says. Everything that was in here is what we read back to you. So,
No, I know.
There is
And then I'll reach out to those parties.
Okay.
May I add just a
Sure.
They
go
have
ahead,
been
Caleb.
I don't want to live like Katie, right? I like just uncertain about what, but like you hear the planning board chair what we need. Now you need to work with those either police, cannabis control, fire department, DPD, how to get the things that we need, right? So if a plan is what they need, work with them, figure out what the plan specification requirements are, and settle the issue there before you return. Otherwise,
No, definitely.
we
I don't
can't
want
do
to look
anything.
like this again.
Yes.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Excuse me. Thank you, Caleb. So, I'll make a motion then that we continue to February 22nd.
I second the
24.
motion.
Okay, motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the matter's continued to that date. Hopefully you can get your approvals by then, and we wish you well, sir. Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Blueprints and approvals.
Yeah, you need a,
I just
you know,
wanna make sure before
I
I
would
walk out
recommend,
here.
yeah, that you read section 7.10.
7:10.
That's what we have to go by. Yep. Okay, good luck.
Oh, I need it.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, what do we got? That's. Hi, Matt. Good, you?
Wait till he goes to the Board of Health.
Okay, moving along on the agenda. Let's see, where is my agenda? Here it is. Okay, moving along on the agenda, we have a site plan review and special permit for 21 Marginal Street, Citywide Properties, LLC, to construct a 3-story addition and create 3 additional residential units at the above address. The property is located in traditional multi-family zoning district. The project requires site plan review under section 11.4 and a special permit to extend the pre-existing non-conforming use under section 4.52 of the zoning ordinance. And we hear from the applicant, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is John Geary of Geary and Geary LLP, 32 Church Street, Lowell, Mass. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, Citywide Properties LLC, and with me tonight is Jason Mello of Citywide Properties. We also have Matt Hammer of Lamplex Consulting. As the chairman mentioned, we're here tonight seeking a site plan review pursuant to 11.4 and a special permit to expand the pre-existing non-conforming use of this property under section 4.5.2 of the ordinance. 21 Marginal Street consists of approximately 15,523 square feet, and it's located in the traditional multifamily zoning district. We've provided the board with a site plan, which also includes landscape features and improvements to the site, as well as floor plans, elevations, and a rendering of the proposed addition and the proposed home. Marginal Street is a mix of single through multifamily properties. The neighborhood is fairly dense and consists of several multifamily properties in close proximity to the subject property, including the private dormitory buildings at the end of Marginal Street, which houses UMass Lowell students. The subject property also abuts the rail line and wooded area at the rear, and on the other side of that rail line is the UMass Lowell South Campus. The property currently consists of 2 buildings with a total of 9 units. The older building, which was constructed somewhere around 1900, has 2 one-bedroom units and 1 studio apartment. The other building was constructed sometime in the 80s and has 6 two-bedroom units. This is a very unique property within this neighborhood with the two structures on the relatively large site for this area. This proposal is an opportunity to add additional housing stock to the city's housing units to the city's housing stock. The addition of the 3 units would also involve the complete exterior rehab of the existing 3-family, including a new roof, windows, siding, as well as the installation of a sprinkler system throughout that structure. The applicant will also be significantly improving the site with identifiable parking and adding significant landscape features. It's also important to point out that by upgrading the fire and safety aspects of the existing 3-family property, that's a significant benefit to the neighborhood, considering that it's a fairly densely settled neighborhood. Citywide Properties is an entity owned by the Mello family. The Mello family owns quite a bit of property within the city of Lowell, and all of their properties are very well maintained, including this property. The family also enjoys an excellent reputation with the Inspectional Services Division. I'll point out to the board that Citywide did a similar project at 956, 958 Bridge Street about 3 or 4 years ago. I don't think we were before the planning board, we were before the zoning board, but the end result of that property was that multi-unit building was completely rehabbed, exterior, interior, site improvements were made to the property, and there are currently 6 families living in that property in the city of Lowell. The point being, the Mello family takes a lot of pride in their real estate portfolio. They maintain their properties and they manage their properties well, and this project would be no different. We've received and reviewed the staff comments, so I'll take a few minutes just to run through those. Starting with comment number 4 of the general comments on page 2. The applicant did request and receive relief from the zoning board about 2 months ago. We were before the ZBA for relief from lot area per dwelling unit, usable open space per dwelling unit. There was a rear yard setback relief that we needed, and we also needed relief for 3 off-street parking spaces. That relief was granted by unanimous consent of the ZBA. There were 3 conditions involved in their approval. The first condition was that the applicant plant 4 shade trees along Marginal Street. Shade trees are much needed along Marginal Street, considering that there are hardly any there presently, not only at this property, but other properties along Marginal Street, so that will enhance the streetscape of that property. The second condition was that the applicant will landscape the east side with the 3-family as shown on the rendering. The rendering is up on the board, and Matt will go through that with you in a few minutes. And the third condition was that the applicant preserve the mature trees along the west side with the 3-family. So clearly the applicant agreed with all of those conditions. The approval was granted, and we're happy to condition any approval this evening on those conditions. With regard to the special permit comments, staff notes that the proposal is consistent with the goals of the master plan by building diversity housing options within the city. The proposed 2-bedroom units will likely be filled with small families and/or couples. With regard to neighborhood character, staff notes that the surrounding properties are mostly single and 2-family properties. Although that is generally the case, I'd point out that there are several multifamily properties within close proximity to the subject property, and Matt has actually prepared and handed out a plan that highlights those properties, so we'll go through that when he reviews the site plan. The comments go on to note that the average size of the lots in the neighborhood are roughly 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. As I said, this property is significantly larger than most properties in the area, the square footage at 15,523 square feet. Comments note that the neighborhood lacks greenery and shade trees. The addition of the 4 shade trees along Marginal Street will go a long way to enhance the landscaping of this property, which will also serve to enhance the character of the neighborhood, and particularly that streetscape. Staff notes that there are no substantial environmental impacts as a result of this proposal. I'd go on to suggest that the post-development environmental condition of the site will be substantially better than the existing condition of the site, considering that the applicant's agreeing to install stormwater mitigation on the site. With regard to traffic, access, safety, staff notes that the applicant is providing 21 parking spaces where 24 are required. As I mentioned, the relief was granted for the lack of the 3 parking spaces. The applicant is also confident that the parking will be and can be managed in a way that is not detrimental to the tenants that will occupy this property or the neighborhood. First responders can easily access the property from Marginal Street and from the parking areas at the property. Also, with regard to safety, as I mentioned earlier, adding the 3 units to the 3-family will require the installation of a fire suppression system. That will be a tremendous benefit to the property and I would suggest to the neighborhood. There are no substantial utility or fiscal impacts associated with the proposal. I would suggest that any negative impacts, if there are any, are offset by the addition of the 3 units to the city's housing stock, by the proposed improvements to the site in terms of landscaping and other improvements, and the additional real estate tax revenue to the city of Lowell. Matt will review the site plan comments when he does his presentation. So at this point, I'll turn the presentation over to Matt. We'll go through the plan and circle back. Thank you.
Good evening. I gotta excuse me. Also have a cold, so if I'm sound a little nasally, you'll know why. So, for the record, Matt Hammer, Lamplex Engineering, 10 George Street, Lowell, Mass. I'm gonna run through the site. This is Marginal Street here. There's an existing paved area that comes up around the buildings, in between the buildings that come off of Marginal Street, of which accommodate 10 parking spaces existing. There's 2 trees in the back that we're going to be recommending to have removed, which are these 2 trees, which led into the discussion of adding additional trees when we were in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. These parking spaces here, even though they're not conventional style spaces, are going to be utilized by assigned spaces to the tenants. So they're going to manipulate those spaces as they do today. We're just improving that a little bit by removing these 2 trees in the rear, which abuts to the MBTA property. So there's no immediate impact to the neighboring property related to moving the trees. It's just an improvement. There's an existing dumpster area on the plan as well for all the tenants to utilize. On this side of the second building, which is this 3-family building, is an existing parking area that is there today. There's a 2-car garage that's dilapidated. We're going to be removing that garage and replacing the 2 spaces that would have been in the garage with these 2 spaces shown here in this plan. We have snow storage in landscaped areas shown along the edge here and along the edge here, in this area here, and in front of the 6-unit building. One of the questions that came up during the Zoning Board of Appeals was, with this rendering that was provided, will these planters be incorporated into the plan? And we said that it was going to be, and that was also a condition of the approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. An additional request by one of the abutters was, can we leave the existing vegetation along the lot line and have those trees not be removed? And we also agreed to that those trees would not be removed along this lot line, and we have a note to that effect on the site plan as well. The addition is off the rear of the property. There was a variance granted to the rear setback, and it was generally acknowledged that the addition off the rear wasn't going to affect an abutter other than the MBTA property. And if you'll notice on the handout that I provided for the neighborhood plan, you'll see that this property abuts the institutional district there. So removing that tree and the addition was not going to adversely affect the abutter in the rear to that effect. This is the proposed addition for the 3 additional units. Attorney Gary outlined the variances that were granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals for land area per dwelling unit, the rear setback, as I just mentioned, as well as the usable open space requirement. I'll go through the architectural plans. This is the rendering of the building, looking at it from the southeast from being on Marginal Street. This is the existing building here, and this piece on the end here is the addition. So it coincides with the architectural components of the existing building. And with that, excuse me, is the elevations. So this is the elevation of the front entranceway, the existing dwelling, and this gable here is that addition off the back. This is the rear elevation here that faces the MBTA property, which is here. Looking at it from the right side, this is the existing building. This is the addition that's off the back here with an entranceway door. And these are windows off the side of the building. Looking at it from the opposite side, this is the addition. This is the existing building here with an entranceway that would come in off the side. These are the floor plans. So this is the main level with a entranceway here with a door coming into the unit with 2 bedrooms, living room, kitchen, washer, dryer, bath, and then there's a stairway to get up to the 2nd floor off of that entrance. And then that repeats itself for the 2nd floor, same configuration, as well as to the 3rd floor. And then I can answer any questions from the board.
Thank you, Matt. So ultimately, this proposal is consistent with the goals of the City of Lowell Comprehensive Master Plan and Sustainable Lowell 2025 by providing the additional housing units to the city's housing stock. Beneficial impacts of the project would far exceed any negative impacts for the proposed development. And finally, the proposed change of use from a property consisting of 9 residential units to a property consisting of 12 residential units is not a substantially more detrimental use of the property to the neighborhood, which is one of the important criteria of the 4.5.2. So with that, we believe we meet the criteria for site plan approval and for issuance of the special permit, and we respectfully request approval this evening, but we're happy to answer any questions or try to address any concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, just one question. So could you just go to the plan there to the left? So I know you have the section of the existing building to the rear is going to be taken down.
Yeah, this small portion here.
Yeah, that jets out, I know
Yep.
that. Now, to the left of that, I don't want, do you call that the garage, or is it like, it looks like there's like a 4-bay place, is,
That's correct.
That's staying?
That's being removed.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you said the garage, I know it has like, looks like 4 different bay doors, so it's garage?
It acts more, it acts also as a maintenance area.
Storage, whatever?
Storage,
Yep,
but that's going to be completely removed.
Okay. So then, because then I noticed the building to the right, so that's like a little,
This one here?
yeah.
Yep.
So that's, what do you say, how many units are in there?
That's got 6.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like a little more modernized building. the
Yeah,
picture here.
if you look on this here,
Yeah, I mean, I took a couple of pictures of the one to the right when I walked the site.
Yep.
It's mostly brick with a little facade on the side.
Yeah.
I wanted to note something about that, these photos, okay?
Sure.
So this plan that we have here,
Yeah.
if you'll notice, I know it's hard to see from there, but you have one in front of you. You have a style here, which is more conventional in terms of a multifamily, in terms of a lot of architectural detail. And then you have another one that's more brick looking, that's maybe less architectural in detail. And then when you look at the other neighborhood buildings, if you look over to the right-hand side here, these 3 buildings here, which are in the neighborhood,
Right.
all have a similar type of style as the one with more architectural style.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which is the brick building, also has a similar style as other brick buildings in the neighborhood. I just thought it was interesting that the property has 2 different styles.
Yeah.
And then it does have other styles within the direct vicinity of the property that are similar to both of the buildings. So it's just something I noted while we were putting this together.
Yeah. I noticed what you're saying is because, so I drove all the way down Marginal Street to the end where where the dormitory is that we approved a long time ago.
Okay, yeah.
With Attorney Flood.
Yeah.
And that was where the gateway passage was for the fire department to get through.
Okay.
And that was the big issue at the very end. And
Right.
you know, and then, and actually the biggest thing on that project was Attorney Flood was able to get the easement access over the MBTA, which he said, that's not easy to do.
Only there's
Flood
only
can
a
do it.
few attorneys that can get that easement.
Yeah, and I mean, and that made that whole deal, that whole dorm.
Yeah.
I mean, because if not,
Yeah.
the students have to go all the way Marginal.
Right.
Down over the regular bridge.
Yeah.
And cut all the way back into now the university, I mean, instead of just
Right.
over the bridge.
Yeah.
So like, when I remember that, I'm sure Jerry remembers it, and going down the Marginal Street, I go, when I said Marginal Street, oh yeah, we know exactly where Marginal Street is.
Yeah.
And that cutway was right there where the dormitory was. So
Right.
that's why I drove all the way down the end to take a good look at the whole street, due to the fact that I went to see where that end pop was on Marginal Street. But, because that made a big difference, being able to go over that. And he said that wasn't an easy accomplishment to deal with them and get approval.
Only a
for
few
an easement.
only a few city attorneys can get that easement. I know Mr. Flood was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, you know, you're lucky if they call you back, you know, but yeah. And I do like the table of lot area dwelling units that you showed us, Matt. That's important.
Mr. Chairman, before you open the public hearing, I have a letter here of support from the neighbor to the left of the property facing
Sure.
the property. It's
Okay.
a family that not comfortable coming to the
Yeah.
meeting, but
Once I open it to the public, I'll read it into record.
thank you.
Okay. I just figured I'd ask Matt while he was up there about a couple of questions here. Okay. So at this point in time, before I go on any further, I'll open it up to the public. If anybody likes to speak in favor, and I do have a letter here that says, Mr. Thomas Linehan, Chairman, Lowell Planning Board. Mr. Chairman, I am writing to inform you that I'm the owner of 27 Marginal Street, and I have reviewed the proposed addition to the property adjacent to my property. I have no concerns related to Mr. Mello's addition to this property. Mr. Mello had been a very good neighbor, and since I've lived here, I support Mr. Mello's application. Thank you. Neo's Sopon. Well, Fran, can I give you that just to put into the record? Matt, do you mind passing that to Fran? You just put that in the record if you would, Fran. And at this point, anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to the board members. Any board members have any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Sure, Jerry?
and I know, Council, you received the variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals on the parking, but I did visit the site on, I don't know if this is a good thing or a sad thing, right? On New Year's Day, and when I was coming back from visiting the other sites, it was about mid-morning. I figured that would be perfect, optimum time. Anybody's gonna be home, people aren't working, they're probably not even out of bed yet. I'm gonna see it at its worst as far as the density of the cars. And I took photos. When I turned on, coming off of, I think it was Weiler, coming off, I took a left on the marginal. There was a car coming, there was parking all the way to the intersection on each side. We couldn't pass, but I had already committed, and then another car's coming down Weiler, trying to take a right on the marginal behind me, and then the other guy back up, and I was like, oh my God. And then our property is like 3 houses in. But having said that, looking at the subject property, there was a lot of empty parking spots on the site where the garage is. There was a lot of space there. So now, as the chairman said, we were very familiar with Marginal Street, but I honestly tell you, I actually forgot that Stevens Street, which is an arterial street, just comes to a dead stop. It goes right to Marginal, and then it ends right there. So there is another outlet there coming like from this property. But was there a discussion at the ZBA? And I know in the package it said that, would manage the parking on this. I'm just curious, get a little bit of insight into that, managing the
Yeah, so
parking.
the Jason self-manages his properties, all of the family properties. As I said, the 3-family consists of 1 studio unit presently and 2 one-bedroom units. So there aren't a lot of occupants of that building.
Yeah.
Property is currently underparked.
Yeah, right.
Now, we understand we're adding 3 two-bedroom units as part of the proposed addition, but Jason is very confident that the parking can be managed by, way of who leases or rents the units in a way that is not detrimental to the tenants that live there or to the neighborhood, the on-street parking situation that you mentioned.
Right.
So we feel that it can be, or he's very confident that it can be managed successfully. And that's, we obviously represented that to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They were comfortable with that explanation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would have expected to see some neighbors here if there were, there was some real issues. But, I mean, that was a real,
Yeah.
I felt myself in a little bit of a pickle.
So you were coming off of what street?
I think it's Weiler. Yeah. And I was taking a right on the marginal, so I was coming, from Peyton Street and turning onto Marginal. And like I said, there was a car coming out towards Wilder.
Pretty dense right at that.
Yeah, and then there was parking, they were right to the intersection,
Right.
right to Wilder off on Marginal. And so there was really only space for 1 car. And once I committed, that other car was already coming down and somebody else turned. I was like, oh my God. But like I said, our site was, the subject site was underutilized. I recognize that.
Underparked, and Jason's confident that it will remain adequately parked. I don't know about underparked with the addition of the 3 units, but it will be managed.
Right, right. And then my other comment on that brick building, we did revise the zoning code, so something like that couldn't be built like that. With the idea is that's a traditional, right, those are traditional multifamilies facing the street. What do we got, a gable end with no door on the side? That's, we got examples, and as a matter of fact, in the Pawtucket master plan, how we don't want to see that kind of development. So it is what it is, it's already there.
Yeah, that was the 80s for you, right?
Yeah, it was the 80s, a ton of those things went up. Yeah, I don't know how they got through the planning boards back then, but that was the,
Most of the neighborhood support.
that was the acceptable thing at that point, but obviously not desirable.
It was tough to put all those neighbors in the Arthur Hammond one.
Yeah. It wasn't conducive for public hearings. But obviously, I mean,
Point noted.
that's already existing there. I mean, it's well kept. There's no question about that. But obviously, architecturally, everybody noted it. It stands out. It just doesn't fit in when we talk about neighborhood character, right? It doesn't fit in. But yeah, no, you received the variance on that. little reservations on the parking situation. I know there were some on-street spots further down, but there were a lot of driveways. I saw some signs with the, resident sticker parking only. Those are my comments at the moment, but,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank
So
you.
following up on that, Jerry, will they be able to get the resident sticker parking only as well? Or how does that work? Do they have it now, but they don't need it, or?
No, they'll be able to have it within the property, which would be assigned by the management company,
Okay,
but not out on the street.
okay. Yeah, because other ones can park on the street by
Yeah,
the.
the ones out on the street are just selectively assigned to people usually of need.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
typically if you're older, if you
Okay.
may have a
Necessity.
handicap or someone in the
Okay.
family that may need that handicap accessibility close to where they live. That's typically how we see them.
Okay.
Be assigned, but typically they're just, you have to have a special case
Okay.
to be assigned one of those spaces.
Thank you. Caleb, any questions?
I also agrees with Member Frechette a little bit about your concern about parking. I mean, has the applicant considered any of the TDM measures? I mean, do you have a parking rack or some type of parking, bike parking racks? Bike parking provided, or like you provide like transit materials to your tenants,
Yeah.
et cetera?
That's a very good suggestion, and we would be happy to incorporate any transportation management plan like that into an approval.
Okay, so as a condition?
We could add a bike rack.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could add a bike rack. We could ask the management company to provide public transit information to the residents of the property and help alleviate any, maybe the need for one resident to have a car, for that matter, or only have one car as opposed to two.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And I see that there is adequate pedestrian access. I mean, there is no walkway to a three-story building. But there is walkway to the building that will be expanded. So a note on that, I see that there's a gap between the deck landing of the stairs and the walkway. Maybe it's unintended. I mean, they should connect.
I believe they connect. That
Okay.
might be
Yeah.
an error on our part when we were creating the colored rendering. So it's a good observation.
Okay, thank you. And then I also want to touch on the comment from staff about whether you can rotate the trash dumpsters so that they don't face the opening.
I did speak with Jason about that, and his suggestion was, well, it's facing the street, it's at the rear of the property, but facing the street for easy access for the disposal
Got
truck
that.
to come in and out. We can gate it so that it's
Yeah.
screened.
Okay. I'm wondering whether you can add a side door or a gap so that, I mean, otherwise you might have residents that leave it open or something. If they can throw the trash by
Yeah,
some
so
other
you-
mean,
Yeah.
without opening the gate, they may leave the gate shut. Just a suggestion. Yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jason Mello. I'm here representing Citywide Properties. At some of our other properties with dumpster enclosures, we typically, on our new projects, we use white vinyl fence, and the hinges on the fence will automatically swing closed. So there's really no, I mean, unless someone opened the gate and used a
Prop
rock
it.
or something
Yeah.
to prop it open, the spring hinge will swing shut.
Okay. That sounds adequate to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with the ZBA requirements on adding more trees, given that you're taking 2 out in the back. So that's all the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Shanae? No comment. Okay. I said my piece, so nobody else knows that. So we need a site plan and a special permit, correct?
Correct.
Correct, yeah. So we need the site plan, and then we need for the non-conforming, right, for the special permit? Yeah.
Well, one question. Is there anything to add on stormwater, or are you good on that department?
Matt,
Well, this, as all projects do, have to go through the stormwater team.
Okay.
So it's to their discretion what they require.
So I will put that as a condition as well.
Sure.
Yep. And fire department have not indicated any outstanding concerns. I think we're okay with that.
On your transportation demand management plan, I'm sure they have the buses that go to the university, which is in
Yeah.
walking distance from there, so you can probably add some of that, and you'll find out what the bus schedules are there. 'Cause I know
Absolutely.
quite a bit of them from the university, take you downtown as well as a lot of other.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you go up in that neighborhood and we go to our site visits, you see those buses,
Oh, yeah.
especially from one part of the university to the other part of the
Yeah.
university. So you can always include that, which would help.
I think the LRTA bus have also stopped there as well.
I believe so too.
They do.
Right.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan with the transportation demand management plan with bike rack, as indicated by Mr. Mello, that the gate for the trash, the way the swing's closed, and a storm water permit. Any further discussion? Any board members have any other comments they'd like to add?
Mr. Chairman, I would just add the 3 conditions that the zoning board of
Okay.
appeals
Sure.
added. I would just incorporate those into our approval.
And the 3 ZBA conditions?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll add that as the 4th condition, and a motion for approval for the site plan. Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, second by Caleb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the site plan is approved. Now we need a vote on the special permit.
I made a motion to approve the special permit with the same condition.
Motion by Caleb, with the same conditions as outlined in the site plan. We need a second on that matter.
Second?
Second by Mr. Fischett. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes yes. So that motion carries as well. 4 in favor, none against. Good luck, we wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you
I
all.
like the idea on those gates closing automatically. That's good. I mean, a lot of people leave them open all the time. You see when you go by, when we go do sites, they're left open, and it's nice neater when it's shut. Thank you very much. Oh, because the light, if it was heavy, like, it wouldn't shut, it'd be too much weight.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Take care. And Happy New Year.
I know.
Okay, moving along, do we have any notices from any of the board members?
I have a question for Fran. I was curious about the 2 Prince Ave application. I think we reviewed it at our December meeting, and they were going to submit an updated site plan, so I was just curious if that was received last month.
I can check. Not to my knowledge. Actually, there was some back and forth between Dylan and their project manager, so I can follow up. I'll make a note to follow up with Dylan and get the status of that, and I'll forward that to you all.
Yeah, that would be great if we could see. I think that was one of the conditions that it be resubmitted, so
Yep.
it would be great just to see
Sure.
it.
Yeah, no, I know Dylan was worried, actually, Dylan reached out to me for clarification on one of the
Yes.
conditions they'd put on there. And
Yeah.
it was supposed to be submitted by the 15th, obviously, I don't think that happened, but,
Okay.
yeah, of December, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, we had a specific day on that.
Yep.
Which I thought we would, and I could understand, because I guess we would violate a meeting if we commented, in other words, if it was sent to us for review in comment, I thought it would have been on the agenda for today, it's just a review or something like that, or submitted from, yeah. I mean, just for us to review, yeah, for discussion, yeah.
Yeah, because when Jerry asked the applicant if he could do it by the 15th, he said sure. And, I mean, if he said he needed more time,
Right.
we probably would have gave him more time.
Unfortunately, it's very symbolic of how that whole project has gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
That's like when Dylan, he called me for comments on the minutes. I said, check with Jerry. I said, I understand what you say, but you want it 100% correct? Check with them, make of the motion.
Yeah,
I
so-
said, and he said he would follow up with you, so. Okay, so if we have anything further, if not, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in
Oh,
favor?
second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
We weren't saying anything procedurally, it's like, that wasn't right.
We are
The two of
adjourned.
them made a motion.
Well, it has been a long day.
We are adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everybody.
Nate and I sit there going, what in second?
Oh, you told me today, you said you've dealt with him? He won't even. Yeah.